Hey, Simone Swayze of Saskatchewan, you could win a 2009 Nissan Rogue SL if a kickoff's returned for a touchdown. In today's game, thanks to Safeway's Touchdown to Win promotion, and if a second kickoff's returned, you could win $1 million. Let's take you to the Rogers Center. Here are Gord Miller and Matt Dunnigan.
Thank you very much, David. The roof is closed at the moment, and we remind you that TSN is the exclusive broadcaster of the CFL and proud home of the Grey Cup. A nasty thunderstorm outside this morning. Things are clearing up somewhat. There's a possibility that the roof will be opened later in the day. These teams met on the final week of the season last year. It was a Saskatchewan victory in a wild one as Ken Miller's team won 45-38 over Toronto, and Ken Miller brings his team back after a win last week at home over BC.
Ken Miller is 5-4 on the road, and we know that 500 on the road is a pretty good benchmark, and he's above that. Looking for his second of the season. Coach Andrus, first at home is always special. He got his first under the belt. We talked about it a little while ago. It was nice to be on the road, kind of get that first win. Now he's looking to get his first at home.
And so is his team. The Argonauts have not won here since August the 1st of last year, riding a 6-game losing streak on their home field. After that second half collapse last year that saw them lose 9 consecutive games. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders will receive as the Argos will kick off in a Week 2 finale after a couple of upsets last night. Winnipeg over Calgary, and the Hamilton Ticats, after being beaten by Toronto, go out to BC, and DeAndre Cobb with 175 yards from scrimmage.
Michigan State product looked good in training camp, and he's carried over on the football field. Timely, too. First win for the Hamilton Ticats at BC since 2004.
There is Justin Medlock, who will kick off for Toronto. Eddie Johnson, who was their opening day kicker, was hurt on the opening play of the game against Hamilton. Came back to finish, but it is Medlock, the man from UCLA, who will make his CFL debut this afternoon. And there's a lot of green and white here in Toronto on this Saturday.
Everywhere you go, Gord.
Eric Morris and Stu Ford are back deep to receive, and this is Ford, or Morris rather, from his 8-yard line. Morris gets outside and works his way across the 30 to about the 32, where the Saskatchewan offense will go to work behind Darian Durant, who survived the opening game against BC without injury, but then on Tuesday in practice jammed his thumb on his throwing hand on a teammate's helmet. And appears to be all right. Durant with a up and down opening week, put the ball on the ground once and also threw 3 interceptions, but Saskatchewan survived 8 turnovers to beat BC. And on first down, Durant up the throw quickly and completes that to Chris Jones. Starting lineups brought to you by Nissan, fan and proud sponsor of the CFL.
There's a look at your backfield right there. Darian Durant, Chris Zarka's going to help him back out there with some blocking schemes. I can guarantee you that. Short yardage situations. Wide receivers, there they are. We got Bag Dressler, who was outstanding once again, picking up from his Rookie of the Year season last year. Last week, he was Matt O'Meara. Only change up front for the Saskatchewan O-line. Keep your eyes on that right tackle.
5 receivers to the near side of the field, and Durant up control, and the pass is broken up by middle linebacker Zeke Moreno, who took it away from Weston Dressler.
Yes, Jason Shivers back in the lineup for the first time this week, coming off injury. He's on Weston Dressler on a little dig pattern. You see him coming across the middle. Nice play. Nice clean play all over that. It's a good start for defensive halfback.
Jamie Borum is back to kick for Saskatchewan. And Durante Edwards will receive for the Argos.
Okay, let him go! Let him go! Let him go!
Low driving kick. Taken at the 30, bobbled for a moment. And now Edwards is buried by a host of Saskatchewan Roughriders. A 42-yard punt, and there is no return. As we see Kerry Joseph, the 35-year-old, bring his team on the field. He threw 5 touchdown passes last time out against Saskatchewan in the final game of last season in a losing cause.
He's on fire. He's looking to pick up where he left off last season. But I tell you what, Kerry Joseph is extremely comfortable in this offense right now with new head coach Bart Andrus in his offensive mind.
Jamal Robertson, the lone setback. Big week last week with 134 yards rushing against the Ticats. Joseph from the shotgun on first down. Takes to Robertson, goes outside, and the pass is dropped as he looked there for Mike Bradwell.
Kerry Joseph, telling you, this is a deadly backfield if they continue to dominate the line of scrimmage like they did last week. And then the weapons they have, it's good to see that Arlen Bruce is back in the lineup because he is their biggest threat out there. And you got a big utility man in Scott Schmidt, number 81, in the lineup as well. Up front, a lot of people have been talking about Picard and Murphy in the middle. Let's talk about Woodward, Robertson, and Ramsey. Good offensive line for Toronto. They showed it last week.
On second down, Joseph goes to the far sideline. A flank comes down late as he was looking there for Arlen Bruce. And Tad Cornegie was in the area on the coverage. Referee today is Glenn Johnson.
Pass interference, Saskatchewan number 1. First down at the point of the foul.
And it's Omar Morgan who was flagged, the man who had 2 interceptions last week against BC.
There we saw Jason Shivers on the other side of the ball blanketing the receiver, and Morgan thought he did the same here. In fact, just on the out route, but you can see that right arm is tucked around his waist, and he's doing a little cha-cha, a little too close there.
On first down, first carry for Jamal Robertson, who picks his way through the middle of the Saskatchewan defense, crosses midfield to the Saskatchewan 53.
Robertson just gutting the middle of the Saskatchewan defensive line, and watch his vision as he gets up in this hole. He dances here, not there, bounces back out to his right, picks up first down.
Robertson, in addition, Matt, to the 134 yards rushing, at 53 yards receiving last week against the Ticats.
Yeah, he was special. That's all I can say. He was special last week. Given an opportunity, and he lit it up.
Joseph once again takes to Robertson and drops it out to fullback Brian Crawford, and Crawford taken down close to another first down at the Saskatchewan 44.
Just an extension of the first play they ran when Robertson turned off a first down. They simply faked to the inside. And then you see Crawford go to the flat. Kerry pulls it this time, sticks it on his numbers, and then Crawford does his thing. And he was explosive when he touched the football last week.
The Argos opened last week against Hamilton with 2 90-yard drives, led 20-0 after the first quarter.
On the road, Gord, that's extremely important. Taking the crowd out early, jumping on people.
And a direct snap to Jamal Robertson. And he'll try the right side, gets across the 35, and down inside the 30 for another Toronto first down. A rule change in the CFL this year. The quarterback does not have to line up behind center. You see the direct snap to Robertson.
Little wildcat offense. I like it. Imagine, hey, wide splits by the Argonaut offensive line. Direct snap to Robertson. Kerry Joseph gets out of harm's way and just basically runs to the sidelines as a decoy. And then Robertson does his thing. A lot of imagination going on with Bart Andrus' offense right now. And pay attention to those splits on the offensive line in that formation.
Here's another innovation by Toronto. The so-called Idaho backfield. Now quarterback Kerry Joseph is in motion again. And so it's Robertson who takes the snap. And Robertson fights his way down close to the 25-yard line on a pickup of about 3.
Hey, you talk about special. These guys got after the BC line last week. Chick, I love this guy. Bags, he's player of the week. These guys simply fly around and make things happen in an unorthodox defensive style of Gary Echeverry. And Mo Lloyd, who? Hey, Ray Williams is outstanding. Made a lot of people forget about Mo Lloyd moving to Edmonton. In the back, you've got Eddie Davis and Omar Morgan, the anchors in that secondary.
9 sacks for Saskatchewan last week.
Okay.
The play not snapped in time, and the Argos, who were the most penalized team in the league last year, will be flagged here.
Time count violation. Toronto number 4. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
Bart Andrus talked about this yesterday, that the Argos must avoid what he calls controllable penalties.
That is certainly controllable there. That falls squarely on the quarterback's shoulders. Those are ones, a little pet peeve as a quarterback. I know nobody likes to get those, but it's part of the game.
Now 2nd and long for Joseph and the Argos. Lots of time. Joseph goes up top, has a man, touchdown! Reggie McNeil, and the Argos have the early lead of a 30-yard score.
Joseph looks right, does a nice job of keeping defense honest, going to his right, and his turns left, and he's got Omar Morgan beat on the backside with Reggie McNeil. Nice post pattern. Very aggressive offensive philosophy his first time out for the Argonauts.
And Reggie McNeil, off to a great start, only seems to catch touchdown passes. 2 receptions on the season so far, both for major scores, and the Argos open with another scoring drive and have the lead early here in the first quarter. Reggie McNeil had 2 touchdown catches in 12 games last year, 2 in 2 games to start this season.
Kids, I gotta put on
his quarterback turned receiver last year, and he turns Omar Morgan inside and out, gets a 3-way go happening, leans to the outside, then Joseph sticks the ball to the space in the middle in the post. And Reggie's got certainly tons of athletic ability, goes up high and pulls it down. That's an easy touchdown for the Argonauts, and a very impressive, aggressive first drive
against a very good Saskatchewan defense. Eric Morris again from his 10-yard line. And Morris beats the first man, gets across the 30 before he is taken down by Toronto's Matt Lambros. And there's a flag on the far sideline of the Toronto kickoff.
Flag. Darian playing special teams coordinator there. Yeah, I like it. Quarterback, he's confident.
Offside. Toronto number 51 will re-kick 5 yards back.
Glenn Johnson was the referee in the Grey Cup game 2 years ago when Saskatchewan won here. Saskatchewan's last 2 Grey Cup wins have been right here in Toronto.
I tell you, Glenn Johnson, he can hit a golf ball too. Play golf with that guy. That guy can flat out smoke a ball off the tee now. Hey, love him as an official. These guys are working hard. Good friend of mine, Donnie Cousins, the head linesman down there. Learned 2 years ago, I was the head linesman with him. He taught me how to be an official.
Oh, no.
Gotta love that.
How'd that go for you?
I didn't go long enough. I loved it. I tell you, it's a different perspective. You get a newfound appreciation for those guys in stripes down on the field and the job they have to do.
And they don't get a break out here today. It is very humid and very hot.
And you can guarantee it, they were sucking back some cool ones over the weekend.
So they'll re-kick. Sent deep once again by Justin Medlock. And this time it's Ford who breaks free across the 40. Out across the 50. Ford still going into Toronto territory down to the 47-yard line. Stu Ford with a great kickoff return and good field position for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Yeah, when you have returns like this, it's not always just the returner. You got a lot of help and a lot of people out there. And you see hats on hats, and it creates a lane. Nice move there by Ford. Good vision. Reading his blocks. Stays tall and gets up through the hole and explodes and uses speed. Sees it in. It's a nice job. Well, I can't tell you how difficult this is and how hard and fast your heart is pounding when you're going through that. And you got everybody come down there and try to knock your head out.
On first down, the give goes to Hugh Charles, who picks his way across the 45, a gain of about 5 yards to the 43-yard line. Excellent field position for the Saskatchewan Roughriders to start. Riders have won 3 straight games here in Toronto. As the tackle is made by Adriano Belli.
Yeah, he didn't practice all the training camp. He's got a groin problem. In fact, he's got a cracked bone in his groin, and it's difficult for anybody. He's got 6 months minimum to repair, but he's out there playing after like 3 weeks. Playing hard, too, boy.
Game was 4, 2nd and 6. And Durant tries to swing that out, but the pass is out of the reach of Hugh Charles. And And that'll bring up third down as we take a look at the Toronto defense.
That defense that looked impressive last week. I can tell you, it all started up front for these guys, and you can pick and choose. You've got, Belly was player of the week, but Claude Harriet and Ronald Flemings were outstanding as well, and they got a new addition up there, and Kevin Huntley, the big man. He's a big man, and then linebackers. You got a mainstay in the middle who's very comfortable in this defensive attack, and Zeke Moreno. Outstanding middle linebacker. He loves playing with Ivan and Poole.
Okay, 97.
So Luka Kanji will try the field goal from 50 yards out. His longest last year was 55. And it's blocked. And the Argos race to it. Scooped up by Lynn J. Shell. The ball is loose again, and the Argos have it again inside the Saskatchewan 40-yard line. A huge break for the Argos.
That great field position was null and void there. Good defensive stand by the Argonauts. Forces a long field goal attempt by Luka Kanji.
And it's Kevin Huntley who finally comes up with a bouncing football.
That's just speed and laying out.
And coming through was Jason Shivers.
And
Get a hand on that.
And his counterpart, Lynn J. Shell, his other halfback, his buddy, comes up with the fumble recovery.
First down, Toronto from the 38-yard line. Here comes Kerry Joseph swinging, and he has a man at the sideline. The catch is made for another Toronto first down by Mike Bradwell.
Talk about using a player's strengths. It's exactly what Bart Andrus wants to do. Head coach and offensive coordinator for the Argonauts, and he is doing it here just by Kerry getting out and around and putting pressure on the defense with his legs. Little simple dash series, drop, and then roll. And then he shows great patience and accuracy, hitting Bradwell on a nice strike for a huge first down deep into Saskatchewan territory.
The gain was 22. First down, Toronto. Time again for Joseph, now looking at the end zone, and it's dropped. He had a wide open Reggie McNeil, who would have had his second touchdown catch of the game.
Just strictly a half-field throw for Kerry Joseph, and he's looking right the entire time, and he's got what he wants, and boy, that's a catchable ball there. That's a catchable ball. That should be 2 for these guys tonight. I guarantee you Kerry will go right back to Reggie McNeil because he's getting wide open in the biggest area of the field, that end zone.
Second down from the 16-yard line. And that pass is tipped. A flag comes down as he was looking for Arland Bruce. McNeil was in the area as well. There's a flag at the 3-yard line. And Saskatchewan appears to be unhappy as Eddie Davis is arguing. And Davis's argument is the ball was tipped at the line.
Yeah, they're saying it's offensive pass interference, it looks like, Gord.
And there may be a Toronto penalty here, which will make things interesting for Ken Miller.
Legal interference, blocking downfield, Toronto number 12. Prior to the pass, that penalty is declined. Third down.
So rather than give Toronto another shot on second down, it'll be third from the 16-yard line for Toronto. And that drive stalls as McNeil drops one in the end zone and then gets called for the illegal block. And Justin Medlock will try his first Canadian Football League field goal from the 23-yard line. Off the block, the Argos get 3 and now lead by 10. Back here in Toronto as a pair of fours go to work with more on that. Here's Claude Fig.
Well, Gord, along with the fact that they're both quarterbacks wearing number 4 and are similar stature here, Darian Durant, excuse me, and Kerry Joseph do have other similarities. When Durant was in Regina as a rookie, he, along with Joseph and Marcus Crandall, who is now an assistant coach in Regina, all worked together, and the latter two helped mentor Durant during his rookie year. In fact, Durant was so taken by that he now wears number 4, which he also wore in college, as a sign of respect towards Joseph. He joked that he's very excited to be facing Durant here for the first time, and is very thrilled with the fact that he picked number 4 to wear for him. But he also joked that this week Durant will have to take a back seat to Joseph. Guys.
And there was Luke Mullender with a kickoff return for Saskatchewan.
Legal block. Saskatchewan number 45. 10-yard penalty on the run back. First down.
And like all kick returners, Mullender not pleased that his return was wiped out by a penalty.
They're just trying to, spring the big man up, spring him free.
When's the last time you saw a guy 280 pounds returning kickoffs?
Michigan State product, Luke Mullender. I tell you what, Darian Durant was in an ideal situation. Learned from Marcus Crandall and Kerry Joseph. Those two a great deal is how he learns and knows how to prepare for football games now.
Saskatchewan in an early hole as Durant fires it out, and there is Weston Dressler making the catch. Dressler with a big week last week, 154 yards receiving for the man who was the Rookie of the Year in the CFL last year.
Then you notice at the end of this play, Weston Dressler is all about survival mode because he's got Willie Poole with a bead on his head, and he gets small right there. Pretty good idea. Wants to stick around and catch a few more of those this game.
First down to the 41. Here's a direct snap now to the Saskatchewan side as they drop it back for Hugh Charles, who barrels up to the 45-yard line. Saskatchewan coming off that win over the BC Lions, and Weston Dressler a big part of it.
Yeah, and I talking to Weston, yesterday, he's talking about not being on special teams for the first time and returning on special teams for the first time in his career, and how fresh he felt in the third and fourth quarter, and that was evident in last week's ball game against BC because he just kept getting better.
Dean was forward, 2nd and 6. Under pressure, had to unload that football, and a flag comes down late. Lynn J. Shell came on the halfback blitz for Toronto, and he may have hit Darian Durant a little late.
He's coming off
major foul, roughing the passer, Toronto number 21. 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
He'll be coming from the short side of the field, Lynn J. Shell will, and Darian Durant recognizes that he's got pressure and he's unblocked, and he stands tall. You see the Shell coming off the edge. Darian sees it. It's right in his face. Ooh. He's got a out route. Weston Dressler sees it. He dumps it off, stands tall, and takes the late hit, so to speak. A little love tap.
And high hit. That gives Saskatchewan a first down at the Toronto 50-yard line. Now Durant. Play action has lots of time, and back he goes to Charles. He's got a first down to the 37-yard line, a gain of 12. And another flag comes down late in the Toronto defensive backfield.
I'll tell you this.
And Glenn Johnson's been a busy man so far.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Toronto number 78. 15-yard penalty for the end of the play. First down.
Belly for roughness. That's 2 15-yard penalties on this drive.
Yeah, and Adriano, he runs hot. He's got a bit of Italian-Irish temper kind of going there. I know about that being Irish, and I've been around Italians, and Adriano runs pretty hot when he's out there, and he's often gets these and plays over. And then, it's a little headbutt. A little headbutt there. Can't do that, big boy. And they caught him.
First down for Saskatchewan. Darian Durant has time, looks in the corner, has a man. Touchdown! Andy Fantu. And Fantu's with a huge cheering section here in Toronto. He's from Chatham, a couple of hours from here, and he's got Saskatchewan back in it.
You know, quarterbacks stand tall. We saw him on the hot route with the blitz in his face. He stands tall here, and he spots the ball beautifully to Andy Fantuz. That was a no-brainer. That's a mismatch right there. Willie Powell on Andy Fantuz. You go to that every time. I can guarantee it. Darian Durant saw that at the snap, and he was licking his chops, and they delivered and connected on the play.
There's a lot of 83s down there. One of them's got a football. 6 plays, 85 yards for Saskatchewan. 30 of them coming Argo penalties, and the Riders are back. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, doing it right since 1939. Andy Fantuz, one of 7 Saskatchewan players who is from Southern Ontario. He's got a touchdown now. His first of the year to get the Saskatchewan Roughriders back in it. And Jamie Borum sends the kick deep. And it's fielded by Toronto's Jamal Robertson, who takes that out to about the 28-yard line before he is buried.
Good afternoon, CFL. TSN, baby. We have to start going 61. It's going to be a good show.
Andy Fantuz is number 3 receiver on the inside, and often he'll be matched up with the linebacker. Here he is right there. You'll see him move towards his right, be matched up with Willie Powell, and that's a mismatch right there. Already he's beat off the ball. Stick him to the post and go to the corner. The ball spotted in the air, and Darian Durant does his thing, and they're back in the ball game. That's a simple play. That's a lick your chops, beginning of the play going, oh, I got what I want, now just go execute. Been there, done that, and they did a nice job of doing it.
On first down, here's a play we saw last week against Hamilton. Joseph swings it out, and this is Robertson across the 30 to about the 34-yard line, the so-called waggle that the Argos have put in the offense.
Yeah, we got a little terminology from Bart Andrus yesterday in our talks with him, and you know, this whole series is called waggle, and he's brought it up from it, and the quarterback goes right, and then he goes left, and he's got a little posse out in front of him, protection out there, and so it's ability to use the mobility of your quarterback without actually putting pressure on him and putting him in harm's way. He's doing all that behind the line of scrimmage, buying himself time. Great series, and we'll talk about that some more.
Now play action again, and quickly there for McNeil, who's close to another Toronto first down at about the 39-yard line. And it will be a Toronto first down as they spot it at the 40.
You know, talking to Bart Andrus, Gordon, you know, he brought this package out and introduced it for the first time in NFL Europe in 2005, and the Waggle series, and he ran it in 05, 06, and 07, and actually brought it to the Tennessee Titans when Jeff Fisher brought him on as a coach, and he put that in for Vince Young, and now they've carried it over here. We saw it for the first time last week, and a very productive, explosive series for the Argonauts.
Snap again to Robertson. He's got a seam across the 45. Robertson bounces outside across midfield into Saskatchewan territory at the 46-yard line, and the direct snap to Jamal Robertson is paying dividends.
Gord, we've seen both teams run the Wildcat formation, and with a bit of success here, and we didn't see much of that in week 1, not with success at all. In fact, today is the first time Wildcats had success here in the Canadian Football League, and Robertson does a nice job of making people miss in the interior and then breaks it out to the outside where he's really dangerous.
A 23-yard gain for Robertson, who's got 52 already here in the afternoon. And we've got 2 minutes left in the opening quarter. And now it's Kerry Joseph's turn. He crosses the 40. And Joseph down for another first down to the 33-yard line of Saskatchewan.
That is just sick there, Gord. This is a design run for Kerry Joseph. Found his back in the hole. He got the end going upfield to try to get contained and to keep Kerry out there. And Kerry says, I have nothing to do with the edge here. He simply is going to take it back to the middle. You watch Baggs looking for the outside. Kerry takes up the middle, makes a nice cut. Great vision. He's like another running back. So they got the Wildcat working. They got Joseph buying time for himself behind the line of scrimmage with the Waggle series, and now he's running it up the middle. Saskatchewan is reeling defensively right now.
From the 34. Joseph slings it out, but the pass is in front of Brian Crawford. It'll bring up second down. And there is Gary Echeverry, the defensive coordinator for Saskatchewan, the former head coach here in Toronto. in 2002. And one of the assistant coaches he brought to the CFL, Ken Miller. That was boss in Regina.
Ken Miller's extremely comfortable with what Gary Echeverry does. It's not new defenses in his mind. It's old school to him because he's seen it before.
Well, Echeverry, the innovator, is seeing Toronto with plenty of innovation here this afternoon. Second down from the 34-yard line. Lots of time for Joseph. Thinks about it and now puts the ball down and gets just one down to the 33-yard line, and some late pushing and shoving breaks out. And once again, the officials have to separate the Argos and Riders.
Sometimes you get uncomfortable when you have all that time. All of a sudden, it's like, what am I doing? I got all day. Nobody's around me. And then you lose sight of your reads and you lose your focus downfield. But this is just extreme protection and a twist on both sides, an ET twist on both sides with your tackle and ends. Kerry Joseph was standing tall, and then he just kind of got happy feet and said, I shouldn't be doing this, and pulled the ball down and picked up a yard.
Justin Medlock was good on his first CFL try. This comes from the 40. And punches this one through as well. The Argonauts lead by 6 here in the first quarter in Toronto. The CFL on TSN continues Thursday as the BC Lions 0-2 go to Edmonton to take on the Eskimos. Live coverage at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. The Eskimos ran in a freight train from Montreal the other night.
Did they ever? It was like when they pulled their finger out of the dam, everything broke loose. It was just ugly at the end.
Is it possible that Montreal could be even better than last year?
Yes, it is. Already off to a fast 2-0 start against the Western Division nemesis that they struggled against last year.
Eric Morris takes the kickoff from his 8-yard line. And this is Morris again, kicking his way across the 25 to about the 28. But the Argos make the good tackle. Willie Pyle leads the way on special teams, and the Argo defense comes back out.
Yeah, introduce you to Adriano Ballet. He's already been active and hot in this ball game up front. I tell you, any one of these guys except for Huntley, who's making his debut here, and he is a man, I'm telling you, for K-State. He's unbelievable. These guys can put pressure on a quarterback. A really athletic linebacking core anchored by Zeke Moreno in the middle. I've been looking for moving to he's got a milestone in front of him in the backfield. We got Jordan Young on the cornerback from Edmonton. They're happy to have him back in the Toronto Argonaut uniform.
Kevin Iben comes into the game with exactly 500 tackles, third all-time on the Argo list, and moving up quickly. More important, though, for Toronto, the Argos with the lead after the opening quarter. First quarter stats are brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always. And the Toronto Argonauts with 139 net yards to 69 for Saskatchewan, and Toronto with a 13-7 lead here after the opening 15 minutes. Gord Miller back here with Matt Dunnigan, and the question coming into this game was, how would Toronto's offense be able to deal with this powerful Saskatchewan defense? The question now is, what can Saskatchewan do against a very potent Toronto offense?
And very imaginative Toronto offense. I think Toronto has an advantage where BC didn't last week. They have some film study on Gary Echeverry's unorthodox defensive style, so they're very well prepared as to what they're looking at there. And I'm telling you, that's huge. And as we go further on to this season, those unorthodox looks of Gary Echeverry's defense won't surprise teams as much, and we're seeing that here already with Toronto being able to handle it.
Marion Durant goes to the sideline where the catch is made by Rob Bagg, who got steamrolled there by Jordan Younger. Younger ran right through his man, but it's close to a first down for Saskatchewan.
Marion Durant showing you that he's got the ability to throw the ball on the run, which you have to. Just slide protection to your right. This is a design play. Get him moving. Oof. Change his launching point. Throws a strike to Bagg.
And it will be third and less than a yard for Saskatchewan. From the Rider 37.5-yard line.
Gord, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Rob Bagg there is from Queens, from my boy Jock Climby back in the studio. Nice grab.
Third and short. Durant takes it straight ahead. Rather, that's actually Stephen Giles who came in. Giles comes in to run the football on third and short.
Talked to Coach Ken Miller about this yesterday. In fact, Darian Durant handled the short yardage situations last week. And I asked Coach if I had anything to do this week and him not being in that situation and Giles being in there with his hand and, you know, with the pressure on the center's bum. And well, seriously, because, you know, you got a bad hand, you don't want the ball smashing up into your thumb on a quarterback-center exchange. And so what happens is Ken said, he's very honest. He says, you know, to be honest with you, Matt, he says, we just didn't get around to that, and so we let Darian do it last week, but Steven is actually better at Darian. So this week we got around to some short yardage situations more so, and Steven's better, so we have him in there for that reason.
Giles gets the first down, and the drive continues for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who have enjoyed good field position so far in the game, but have very little to show for it after a messy game last week against the BC Lions. 15 turnovers total in that game.
I've never seen anything like it. And but it was a fun game to watch, I can tell you that, Greg.
This is Weston Dressler on the carry. Gets to the outside and is close to another first down as Shivers took him out of bounds. So we're seeing lots of innovation from both sides, and Zeke Moreno comes in on the tackle as well.
Weston Dressler, second from the bottom of your screen here. He's coming into the backfield, and this is just like a 40-yard dash to the boundary here. Bang! Right there, 41 yards from this point to the boundary, and he's trying to get that edge. He gets the edge here, but he's not able to outrun the entire defense as the secondary closes it on.
Brings up second and short. And this is Charles busting through the middle of the midfield. A first down for Saskatchewan as Willie Pyle makes the stop. Weston Dressler from Bismarck, North Dakota, who played for the Fighting Sioux.
That is just an incredible, productive rookie season. And, you know, you meet this guy, and if you didn't know who Weston Dressler was, and you saw him on the street, you walk right by him and never think twice that he was a professional athlete. But, boy, when he puts on that green and white, he is spectacular.
Here's Durant, slings it outside, and Dressler makes the catch at the 50 for a gain of 5. Well, you played with a guy in Edmonton who was very much like that. Brian Kelly didn't look anything like a dominant wide receiver, and he was.
That's right. Here's Weston Dressler, number 7, coming out of the right side of Durant, and he's in motion. And understand how much he's been running to this point. Entire quarter and a half or quarter plus play all over the football field, still able to maintain his focus and concentration, keep his feet in bounds, and make a nice tough catch.
Trying to get away, gets a throw off, and it bounces in front of the intended target, Stu Ford, but hunting down the Saskatchewan quarterback was Ronald Flemons. Flemons was inches away from a sack.
Ronald Flemons is scary, you know, scary athletic. He's at the top of your screen. You'll see him right there at the top of your screen, folks. Here he is, right there. There the big boy is. Watch him move. Just track him. Takes on the defender. Now it's a sprint. All that conditioning in the offseason pays off right there as he's able to pull Darian Durant and disrupt his throw.
Jamie Morrill on the punt as Devontae Edwards goes back to receive inside his 10. Argos for the second straight week of taking an early lead. And Borum sends that down. Little spin shot down to the 1-yard line. What a great kick. A flag down. And Edwards taken down at the 3-yard line. And that's where the Toronto Argonauts will begin when we come back after this. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by Sport Check. Sport Check, the power of sport. I wonder how many of those people just stayed after the 07 Grey Cup. They just kind of wander around the stadium, go to some baseball games.
Guaranteed there's a few of them.
5 no yards penalty was assessed. The Argos start from their own 8, and Kerry Joseph busts through to the 20 for a Toronto first down.
That's amazing. That guy's 36 years old, something like that. I know he's in his mid-30s. 35. That's old, though. Could you imagine doing that? And having the vision and the patience in the hole to do this? I'm going to throw it and I'm going to pull it down and make a couple guys miss. A couple professional athletes miss and make it look easy.
And he looks very much like the Kerry Joseph we saw named the CFL's most outstanding player for Saskatchewan.
Exactly.
In 2007.
Wildcat.
And here's Robertson again. And once again, it pays dividends for Toronto. A late flag comes down as Robertson is taken down to the 30-yard line.
Having success with Wildcat, and they're going to it. You know, they're just controlling the line of scrimmage with this. And Kerry Joseph, the only thing he's got to do is jog to the, out of harm's way. It seems to be working for him.
The penalty is against Toronto. It's a late hold that will negate.
Toronto number 40. The 4 yards were gained. We'll go back 10 yards from the point of last scrimmage. Repeat first down.
Brian Crawford is called for the hold.
So you got the odd hole formation, which you talked about, Gord, with everybody lined up there, 5 people lined up. Kerry goes out to the right. You got Crawford and Robertson in the backfield. Direct snap to Robertson. Crawford out front. There's where the hold is right there. That was kind of ticky-tack, but I'm not going to get into that.
Sends it back to the...
It's exciting watching that Wildcat, though.
Well, and that rule change has really paid off.
Yeah. I mean, you give offensive coordinators an opportunity to be more imaginative and creative, they're going to take it.
We'll look at it. Second and long. Way offside as Arland Bruce. The pass is complete to McNeil, but this will come back as McNeil was whacked by Eddie Davis. Arland Bruce was 10 yards offside.
Oh. And to have this play not even count, and after the hit that the Argonaut took, just a little early. That was good form. Got to give him some points for form. Reggie McNeil takes a killer hit at the end of this play.
Offside. Toronto number 5. 5-yard penalty. We'll repeat first down.
So now it's 1st and 25 from the Argo 5-yard line.
That's a beer. Yeah, that's a beer right there. You know that Arland is going to have to buy one for Reggie there at the end, because he's going to feel that for a while.
Maybe 2.
Maybe 2.
Now Joseph in the end zone, swings it up to Robertson. He has to fight to get to the 3-yard line, a loss of a couple of yards. And that'll bring up second down. And Ray Williams makes the stop, along with Kai Stewart.
Yeah, a nice little 4-1 formation, and they're going to run a screen to the opposite side, to the one receiver side, to the bottom of the field. And Kerry Joseph looks right, plants his feet, tries to draw on Stevie Baggs, fires the ball to Robertson, and there is Stewart making a nice play. I'm talking about a great play in open field, because if he's not there, he's going a long way.
Early movement by Saskatchewan. Joseph under pressure, but the whistle sounds to end the play. Is jumping in with Stevie Baggs. And so a penalty-filled drive here. This will move the Argos a little further away from the goal line. One of the other rules innovations we've seen this year is moving back the kick after a safety.
Offside.
So
Saskatchewan number 90. 5-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
So in a situation where a team might surrender 2 and be happy to kick off from the 35, kick off from the 25, which gives teams slightly better field position, makes you think twice about giving up the 2.
Yeah, there's a couple other options, that after a safety's been conceded that you can do as well. You can take the ball or have them or punt it back to them.
Free kick it.
And so, to me, it adds to offensive play, obviously, in the game.
Joseph under pressure, and this time he will not get away, and this will be 2. Stevie Baggs with the sack, and he puts 2 points on the board for Saskatchewan.
Oh, yeah, watch Stevie Baggs at the bottom, and he does this right here at the bottom, one-on-one, ISO, bang. Nice spin move on the inside, and Murphy has no chance, and Kerry Joseph is there you go. Involuntarily gives up the safety.
A lot of deal.
Yes.
A lot of deal. What they do?
Hey, talking to Stevie Bags before the ball game. Special day for he and his mother. It's his mom's birthday today.
Wants to say hi to his mom in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Lola is her name.
Well, you got a sack for a safety, you get to do that.
That's exactly right. You know, he's coming off a Defensive Player of the Week award, and it seems like it's a carryover from last week. Great pickup by Saskatchewan.
So the Green Riders pull within 4, and now Toronto, we forced a kickoff from the 25-yard line.
Yeah, we heard our new colleague in the studio, Milt Stiegel, talk about Stevie Bags starting out in Winnipeg, and talking to Stevie, says, yeah, I met you, in Winnipeg. Come down the elevator to the hotel, and says, who would ever thought I'd be in Saskatchewan? But I love it. I love it. Every day is January 1st. Every day is January 1st. And, you know, he's just got a great outlook on life, and he's infectious, and he's loving his time in Saskatchewan.
Headlock to kick it off. Sends it deep. And here is Eric Morris from the 25-yard line. And Morris finds his team, gets out to the 45, where Saskatchewan, having pulled within 4, back to work with the ball.
Birthday, baby. Shout out to the fam. Everybody back home, Winnipeg, Sackos.
The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Molson Canadian. This is our beer. Saskatchewan has trailed throughout, but now goes to work. 1st and 10 from its own 43 with Darian Durant at the controls. And Durant from the shotgun swings it underneath, and he's got Jason Claremont out to about the 48 for a gain of 5. And Darian Durant 5-0 as a starter in the CFL, and Coach Ken Miller says they have great confidence in the man with a calm demeanor.
He has really a quiet determination, a quiet leadership about him. He's a very bright person. He has a lot of self-confidence. So I think that as we go, you know, he'll demonstrate the fact that he deserves to be a starting quarterback in this league.
And now Durant is flushed out, has lots of time. And the ball squirts out of his hand, and that might be evidence of what we saw yesterday when the right thumb was bandaged as the ball just squirts out.
All kinds of things going through Darian's mind as he's attacking the corner, and he knows he's got some space in front of him. He's got one-on-one coverage, and that happens every now and then, you know, and we'd have to ask him, but he pats the ball, and I think as he pats the ball there, that's a fundamental, you know, a flaw in his technique. When he pats the ball there, it actually comes out of his thumb and doesn't set right as he's trying to throw it, and it comes off the back of his hand, and that's just not from holding the ball where it's supposed to be with 2 hands, and obviously you want to concentrate on that when you got a bad thumb.
Warren unloaded a great punt last time.
Okay, let him go!
And Devontae Edwards back to receive from the 17. And Edwards is dropped. And once again, there is Stevie Bags with the special teams play for Saskatchewan as Kerry Joseph and the Toronto offense will go back to work.
That is just crazy. You got a 280-pound defensive end running down on punt coverage, making on-field tackles like that. I tell you, you can't pay me enough to be a returner in this league. That is crazy. That is just spectacular athletic ability. Devontae Edwards, he's thinking the same thing.
Where's all the little guys?
My goodness.
Kerry Joseph 6 for 9 for 71 yards and a touchdown so far. On play action. Takes to Robinson. And he finds James Robinson for his first catch of the season. And they'll spot that as a gain of about 4 to the 24-yard line.
You know, sometimes as a quarterback, when you're going through this little ISO fake, you know, you have to pull the ball out quicker. And you see Kerry Joseph do it here because he's pressured quicker. Right off the edge, you've got Sean Lucas in your face, and Kerry sees that. And so he pulls the ball quickly, buys some depth with his feet, and delivers the ball to Robinson. That's a nice play, and that's experience coming out for you.
Second down, Joseph looks back over the middle, and pass is knocked away from Steve Schmidt. Saskatchewan appears to have recovered. Now there's going to be a question here. Did Schmidt catch the ball? And who recovered it? Saskatchewan pulls the football out as John Chick has it. Now will Bart Andrus contest whether or not that was a catch by Steve Schmidt?
Well, he just sits right over the middle, grabs the ball, seems like he makes an athletic move. It's not a bang-bang play. It's a very quick play. Ball comes out. Doesn't look like Bart's going to challenge it at all.
That'll give Saskatchewan a first down at the Toronto 30-yard line. And Andrus
shaking his head no.
Reached for the pocket and elected not to. So now a big chance for Saskatchewan to take its first lead in the football game. First down for the Toronto 30. Dressler on the reverse. Flips it across to Rob Bag. Bag gets outside. Runs into Ivan. And that'll be a gain of about 5 yards. It took him about 50 to get it.
And you know, it didn't amount to much, but it was fun to watch, you know, and you watch razzle dazzle, and it's reverse, obviously, and you watch number 4. Just keep your eyes on Darian Durant. Darian's positioned himself. Oh, say hello, big guy. He says hello to Ronald Flemings. Kind of gives him a little shoulder shot, frees up the corner. Not very productive, but fun to watch.
There's a gain of 5. Durant quickly over the middle for Claremont. And Claremont has a first down at the Toronto 18-yard line. Jason Claremont made 1 catch last week in Regina. Drew a standing ovation as the Regina native came home.
Yeah, I think that's their appreciation, you know, the Rider Nation's appreciation for what Jason's been able to do in his career, the way he's carried himself. You know, he's one of their own, and coming back, you know, he doesn't have to do much but to go out there and be Claremont that we fell in love with, and they'll love every bit of him.
Flips off the field. This place is taken by another Regina native, Chris Getzlaff. First down, Saskatchewan from the Toronto 18. This is Charles. Reverses his tracks. Another late flag comes down in the Toronto defensive backfield after a gain of about 2. Hugh Charles with a touchdown last week and a very impressive backflip afterwards.
Yeah.
Although end zone celebrations were very much the topic of conversation after week 1.
Major foul, face mask, Toronto. Will go half the distance to the goal from the end of the play. Automatic first down.
No number given, but another 15-yard penalty against Toronto.
That was a shame because they had great defensive pursuit there. And they forced him to a 2nd and long, and then a little overzealous right there. Reach in. Adriano Belli had it for a second. I saw it already. And
I think it was Hundley who got the last grab.
There was 2 of them on the play. Adriano got it first, and then Hundley got him second. That's probably why I didn't give you a number.
First and goal from the 8. Little shovel pass for Charles. Touchdown. Darian Durant shovels it to Hugh Charles, and Saskatchewan leads for the first time.
Nifty little shovel pass in a small window for Darian Durant to shovel it into Hugh Charles. And real small window. Usually this play takes a little bit longer to develop, but it happened really quick because of the pressure of the defensive end in Darian Durant's face. And watch the small window right here. Bang. Slips it right in there. It's a walk-in. We call that a walk-in touchdown for Hugh Charles.
And another flip. And you know, Wes Cates, the all-Canadian running back, soon to return for Saskatchewan. So Hugh Charles taking advantage of the opportunity while he has it. Saskatchewan with the lead. We're back to Toronto after this. Another touchdown, 2 in 2 weeks for him after an impressive drive off the turnover by Toronto.
And we talked about the fun reverse off the top, and it was all set up because, you know, the drive was set up because of a turnover. Nice play by Ray Williams. Here's the reverse. The Bag's got the ball. It's not a very productive play, but it keeps the defense honest, and now they go to work underneath the Claremont, picking up a first down. Critical right there. It doesn't surprise you. And then a little shovel pass underneath Claude Harriet was in a no-win situation there, but a nice job of execution by Darian Durant, seeing how quickly he had to get rid of the shovel pass to Hugh Charles.
On the point after, Toronto was assessed another 15-yard penalty for unnecessary roughness, and Jamie Bohr will kick off from midfield.
Well, this one's liable to end up in the lake.
Little punch 9-iron. And it's halfway into the end zone when Matt Black comes with it up. And Black turned around to 3, and he will get no further. Ray Williams among those down there to make the tackle, and the Argos are once again buried deep inside their own territory.
Kavis Reed on the sidelines, the special teams coach for Saskatchewan, is pretty happy about this because they've got great coverage and they've pinned Toronto's offense once again down inside their own, deep in their own end, and that's just undisciplined play from Toronto. Kavis is really excited. Obviously, he was here in a very tumultuous year last year, and he's picked up by Saskatchewan. A great pickup by Saskatchewan. The quality coach right there, and he's excited because his team showed out on that play.
Don't you have to be excitable to be a special teams coach? It's kind of a prerequisite.
Yeah, there you go. That's why he's so good at it.
From the 3, remember the Argos surrendered a safety earlier. And the give goes to Robertson, who fights his way out to the 5-yard line as the Argos just look for some breathing room here late in this first half.
Yeah. Baggs coming right at him. He holds his ground. He gets some help from Sholigan and over the top with the linebacker, but he's coming right. It's coming right at you, folks. Stevie Baggs going to show you how to play defensive end here. Hold your water, come take on the big man, Taylor Robertson. Get off your block. Keep your feet, wrap up, and pull them down. That's the way it's done right there, folks. Stevie Baggs showing you why he was the defensive player of the week last week.
Saskatchewan, though, was offside, and so it'll be 1st and 5 for the Argonauts from their own 8-yard line. Saskatchewan with its first lead, 16-13. Dropped the football, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders have another turnover inside the Toronto 5-yard line as Robertson lost the handle. And the ball is scooped up by Saskatchewan Sean Lucas.
Gary Etcheverry smelling blood here, and he comes with a very unorthodox defensive front. And everybody's stacked at the line of scrimmage. Look, you got 3 to the right over here. Look at you got 3 over. You got 3 right here, you got 2 there, you got another 2 over here, and they are waiting for this. They stacked the line of scrimmage with 7. And the ball is out. Turnover Saskatchewan. Boy, I tell you, momentum is this crazy thing in football, and Gary Etcheverry felt that. His defense was in a great situation because of Kavis Reed and his special teams, and they took advantage of it with a very unorthodox front, and it took Toronto off guard.
Belly is late getting into the formation for Toronto, and the Argos are forced to call timeout with 3:26 to go in the first half. Reeling here with Saskatchewan poised 1st and goal at the Argo 4.
If Toronto was a boxer right now, they'd be wobbling, and Saskatchewan's looking for a knockout punch here in the first half and really take, a substantial lead.
And Andrus wants to talk things over with the group.
As he should, because his football team has lost their composure here in the last several minutes of play, taking unsportsmanlike conduct, bad penalties, poor decisions, controllable penalties. We talked about that yesterday with them, and they've really lost their composure here, and Saskatchewan's looking to take advantage.
Last 3 possessions for Toronto, a safety and then 2 fumbles. 1st and goal from the 4. And this is Giles, a quarterback for Saskatchewan. Stephen Giles under pressure. Loses the football, and this will be called an incomplete pass. There is a flag down at the line of scrimmage. So Giles comes on for Durant inside the 4-yard line. And the flag appears to be once again against the Argonauts.
Offside, Toronto. Ball count the distance to the goal. Repeat, 1st down.
Toronto has been flagged 10 times for 75 yards here in the first half. And they lined up offside there. Now it's 1st and goal from just outside the 2-yard line.
Saskatchewan caught 2 breaks there close call on the ball being gotten out of Stephen Giles' hands and also the offsides.
Giles remains in on 1st and goal. Gives it off to Charles. And he's got his second. And a second flip. He lands the double. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders, taking advantage of Toronto turnovers, have extended their lead.
Oh, hey, just play some smash mouth football. Don't get too cute down here. Rely on your big boys up front to control the line of scrimmage. Exactly what they do. They come off the ball. Hugh Charles finds a little hole, does what he has to do, and gets his second of the day. He's on fire.
And the Saskatchewan Roughriders doing this without Gene Mikowski. They're all Canadian offensive linemen. And without, of course, Wes Cates. So Saskatchewan fell behind early, but the Green Riders have roared back here in the second quarter and now lead by 10. Just moments away from Rona at the half, but a lineup change to announce. Yes, into the bullpen we go for Stiegel. Matt Dunnigan, you stay here with me, all right? You pulled the late night last night, too. So
I love being at the park. Yeah, love the panel. Happy to come to the park every now and then, though.
Devontae Edwards from the 10-yard line, and Edwards gets out close to the 30, and the Argonauts will finally start a drive outside their own 5-yard line as Hugh Charles, a 23-year-old from the University of Colorado, celebrates his second touchdown.
He's not very big, but he doesn't have to be. He tries to get small right about there, finding a little crease in that D line and puts it into the pay dirt. And then, that's just sick. I mean, you think he's got that? He does it twice. So if he scores again, are we going to get 3?
You got to get the triple.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Hey.
So the question for the Argonauts now is, can they stop being their own worst enemies? Penalties and turnovers have become a major factor here late in this first half. They have fumbled the ball on their last 2 possessions. Kerry Joseph works his way around, gets a block, and has that knocked down as that pass went through the hands of linebacker Mike McCullough.
And when you're on the road, you know you're looking for this. You're looking to create turnovers, and it's exactly what Saskatchewan does. Ray Williams, nice tackle. Johnny on the spot on Steve Schmidt. They come up with the fumble there. And then ball on the ground, a very unorthodox defensive front catches Toronto off guard. They stack the line of scrimmage, and they disrupt the handoff, come up with another, and put the ball in the end zone. This is what you have to do if you're going to win on the road. And that's why Ken Miller's football teams are 5-4 and over 500 on the road since he's been coaching there.
2nd and 10 for the Argos. Joseph has time, swinging over the middle. Bruce gets one hand on it, but can't haul it in. That'll bring up 3rd down.
That almost took his hand off there, Gord. That ball was shot out of a cannon by that right arm of Kerry Joseph. It was a little behind Arlen Bruce. He really had no chance to catch that football. It would have been a spectacular Arlen Bruce grab, which we've seen him done before.
Arlen Bruce does not yet have a catch in the football game, and the panels are open. We expect that at least part of the roof will be open here for the second half.
Card is alive. It's number 10. Number 10.
I feel like things are moving, Gord. And if you look up at the ceiling, it's moving just a bit.
It's okay. They
let him go!
Been 20 years now. Deadlock with the punt. And this is Eric Morris. Finds some room. Morris works his way upfield across the 50. The Saskatchewan 53-yard line as Eric Morris makes something out of nothing.
Great little story. Kids from Texas Tech. Coach Miller told me before the ball game, he says, Matty, I saw this kid first day at training camp, and he said he's not good enough. And then he says every day since then he's been proving me wrong. And I said it's good to be wrong sometimes. The head coach, he says, yeah, it is. That kid is special. There's a lot of, coming from Mike Leach's offensive system at Texas Tech, he knows how to run a pass in the passing scheme and get open and catch the rock. And it's a nice return by the young man.
First down, Durant from the shotgun. Durant back out there, slings that out for Rob Bagg, and Bagg gets a gain of 6 to the Toronto 50-yard line. And so Darian Durant once again working with the lead. Remember last week, stripped of the ball in his first possession, intercepted for a touchdown in the first quarter. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders came back to win it.
And the year before, you know, Ken Miller probably would have had him on the bench and had another quarterback in there. But, you know, they've gone with Darian. They said he's going to be our leader. He's going to be our quarterback. They've given him a long leash, and it's paying dividends for him because he seems to be in complete control tonight.
On second down. Look out, gets away from Kyle, but then gets buried by Kevin Huntley as he is dropped at the Saskatchewan 48-yard line. And you mentioned Kevin Huntley.
Powell is right on the bottom here. You'll see him coming off the edge. I believe he's right in this area right here. And you watch him come off the edge. No, it's just one level up. He's right on the edge. Hugh Charles can't get to him. Causes Darian to pull up. And then you don't want that man landing on you.
6'7", 294 pounds.
Yeah, I said he's going to be 285 after today's game. So for the first time playing in a while. Had some stops in the National Football League in Washington and Oakland. But he's a big man. Big play for the Argonauts there.
Punt taken by Devontae Edwards. And Edwards is buried as Saskatchewan's Kai Stewart comes down to make the tackle. NASCAR Sprint Cup action continues tonight on TSN as the track heats up at the Chicagoland Speedway for the LifeLock 400. Live coverage at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific on TSN HD. And yes, there is a great deal of green here in Toronto on this Saturday. And there is an injured Saskatchewan Rough Rider on the coverage as Kerry Joseph gets set to bring the offense out.
It'll be interesting to see what Gary Etcheverry and his defense decide to do in this situation with 1:46 left in the half. And if they go to a vanilla-style defense, and if that's the case, Kerry Joseph should be able to eat that up offensively. And I just like to see defense coordinators stay aggressive in this situation to continue to put pressure on offenses and not defend and be passive and go vanilla, because quarterbacks are waiting for that opportunity. We'll see if it can happen here and Toronto can get back in the ball game.
Lance Frazier was the man who was shaken up. He's just now made his way off the field. And the Argos have nothing to show for the last 4 possessions except for a lot of Saskatchewan points. On first down, Joseph on the fake, slings it down, and Arline Bruce has his first catch, or does he? No, it's ruled incomplete from the side official. That'll bring up second down.
Just not a very clean exchange there with Robertson coming in. Carey's kind of flat-footed, doesn't get much on it.
That's a catch, isn't it?
Well, it looks like, you know, it's nose of the ball hit simultaneously. So I think it's a pretty good call right there. Easy call, in fact.
Early movement, and Joseph Lookout. He had a face full of John Chick, and another late flag comes down. After that, there are 4 flags on the field. Did Chick give Joseph a little extra at the end of it?
It's good to see John Chick back in the football field again this year. Last year he struggled through a knee injury, knee surgery, and a broken hand. And I tell you what, this guy is a specimen as far as an athlete goes. And there's not much muscle, not much fat on that body right there. I'm telling you, he is just ripped for a defensive end. He's very athletic, and I know Saskatchewan's happy to have him back in the lineup.
And a long conversation here with 1:41 to go in the first half. Toronto led 10-0. And then Saskatchewan has roared back here in the second quarter.
Yeah, it looks like
here's the call from Glenn Johnson.
They're going to get Chick just jumping off.
Offside. Saskatchewan, number 97. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
He was hungry. He was looking for a protein bar. He was hungry. You know, he just wanted to get the quarterback, get some of that, and because he hadn't had some in a while, so you know, it happens.
That's the most flagged offside in CFL history. Four guys got him.
Hats were flying. Referees were throwing shoes.
Joseph with time again. Up over the top to McNeil, and he can't make the catch. Reggie McNeil was open for a moment and could not make the grab with Omar Morgan watching him closely.
Yeah, and you got to credit, your defensive line pushing and pressuring Kerry Joseph because he's not able to throw the ball as strong as he wants to. And right there, Chick flashes in front of him, gets on his feet. He can't follow through. Ball comes off fluttering and doesn't get there quickly, and then disrupts Reggie McNeil's vision and can't come up with a tough catch. So, it's team, right? And that's what we're seeing here. Saskatchewan's defense playing as a team, forcing the issue, now forcing Toronto to punt.
And this is Medlock. Sends it down to Eric Morris from his 38-yard line. That will be no yards against Toronto. And that will aid the Riders a little as it'll send them out to about the 43-yard line, where they'll start with 1:25 minutes to go in the first half.
Eric Morris caught that ball in the air, which is extremely important. One of my pet peeves, and I learned this from Cal Murphy when I was playing in Winnipeg. And if you have a punt returner that's capable of catching most everything in the air.
Yards. Toronto, number 20, 15-yard penalty, first down.
And because the ball is not on the ground, Will Poole's no yards is a 15-yard penalty instead of 5.
Yeah, might as well rack that up, and then no telling how far that ball would have bounced, and then the returner to pick it up. And so very valuable to have that talent, and that's why he's a receiver doing that right now, and that's why he's been able to put the talented Weston Dressler on the sidelines in those return situations.
90 yards in penalties to Toronto in the first half. And swings it out. He's got Chris Jones. And Jones makes the catch at the Toronto 47-yard line.
Great timing. Great timing there. You can't defend that. Ball's on the money when Best is out of his break. And it's just, on top of your screen. He's right there, folks. You see him staring at you right there. Pow. Watch this. The ball's in the air right now. He comes out of his break. It's on him. That's like stealing. That's the short side of the field, so he should be able to do that 24/7. But that was a nice execution there.
Second and short as Saskatchewan brings out the short yardage team, and Stephen Giles comes back in for the Green Riders. And Giles should have enough for the first down on the initial surge with 1:14 to go here in the first half, and some more pushing and shoving breaks out. Zeke Moreno involved in that. Last year, these teams met in Regina in Week 7. The Green Riders won 28-22. Darian Durant was hurt in that game, suffered 3 broken ribs in a game that was delayed 40 minutes by a vicious thunderstorm. There was lightning in the area. Parts around the stadium were flooded. It was quite an evening in Regina. And did Giles get it? Yes.
I just love Coach Ken Miller's honesty about why Darian Durant was in there doing short yardage situations last week and why Stephen Giles is in there doing it this week. He says, Matty, to be honest with you, we just didn't get around to it. And we had some time this week, and Stephen's better. I mean, it was like there's no punches being held or nothing. It was great. It was just coach communicating and giving you the goods, and we appreciate that.
Down Saskatchewan. And Durant swings it out for Charles, has a block, and Charles inside the 35 to the Toronto 32-yard line. 53 seconds to go in the first half, and Saskatchewan driving once more.
Well, you got to figure, zone coverage at this situation with 53 seconds on the clock, and great play in zone coverage, the screen pass, and they've got a convoy out front. Nice cut by Hugh Charles, taking advantage of the big man's block. And Paul LaPolice calling a great game. I tell you, this guy right here is one of the most underrated offensive coordinators in the CFL. Gets his guys ready every week.
First down from the 33. Now Durant swings it deep, has a man. It is Dressler. It's a touchdown.
Oh, just beautiful. That was just taking advantage. Nice play calling. Giving you big money man, Weston Dressler out in the open on the corner. And how do you forget about that guy? I know he's small, but you can't forget about him. Watch Darian Durant. He looks down the middle of the field, holds a free safety, then he just lifts the ball and spots it. He turned Kevin Ivan around, and he had no chance on Weston Dressler. That's twice we've seen Saskatchewan receivers lined up on linebackers from Toronto and take advantage of it, both with corners, both with touchdown catches.
The point after is good, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders have opened up a 17-point lead here in the first half after trailing 10-0.
This is putting air on the ball and letting your receiver go to it. Boy, that's pretty too. Nice tight spiral. That's one you want on film there to go back and watch over and over and over again.
I think his thumb's fine.
Yeah, he needs to hurt his thumb in practice every week. Now they're having fun. On the road, dominating here at the Rogers Center. Right before half, 30-13. Weston Dressler staying hot once again for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
That was 5 plays, 57 yards in just 32 seconds for Saskatchewan.
That's that zone defense. You know, you get vanilla towards the end, and you know you just try to prevent, and they just knife the ball down the field on you and put points on the board.
But all that starts with a 15-yard penalty on the Toronto punt, giving Saskatchewan great field position.
Exactly, but previously we saw Saskatchewan stay aggressive defensively and forced Toronto's hand. They got the ball back, right? And now they're able to put points on the board. Aggressiveness on both sides of the ball is paying off for Saskatchewan.
Kickoff is short, taken by Devontae Edwards at his 20. And Edwards gets about 10 to the 30-yard line, which is where the Argonauts will start with 32 seconds left here in the first half. And more smiles there after some nervous moments to open this game for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Yeah, they got their legs underneath them and settled down, and well, they dominated here in the second quarter, 23 points.
And if you are used to practicing on the prairies and you're up there, it is a steamy, steamy day in Toronto. Heavy, heavy rain this morning, and it's one of those high humidity days here in Toronto. So Joseph on first down, his team in a deep hole, swings it up for Arlen Bruce. And Bruce close to a first down as he lunges out to the Toronto 40-yard line. There's a very late flag on the play.
Yeah, you think that Arlen Bruce would have gotten out of bounds there. Trying to turn it up, make something happen. You can't fault him for that.
The ball is spotted at the 40. I want to see if they got the first down first. Just short. Now that begs the question, what's the penalty?
Yeah, it's a mystery right now. Glenn will tell us. He's taking his time. Here he comes.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. After the play, Toronto, number 64. We'll go back 15 yards from the end of the play. It's second down.
That's center Dominic Picard. It's another major penalty against Toronto that'll put the Argos over 100 penalty yards here in the first half.
Yeah, Dominic just flying to the football, trying to help, and right there at the end, he takes John Chick and plows him over behind the ball. Chick flies out of your screen there as Dominic Picard doing what Dominic Picard does, play nasty football.
Now second and 15. Joseph under pressure, and he is sacked. Taken down by John Chick. And a nightmare second quarter for the Argonauts. Safeties, turnovers, 23 Saskatchewan points. And it is all Saskatchewan right now.
Yeah, we talked about John Chick, and he's right here. You see him at the top of the line, and I'm telling you, he's just going to come off the edge, and there he is, folks. Just plowed over Jonathan Woodward. That is leverage, that is power, that is off-season conditioning and training coming into play, getting underneath somebody's shoulder pads, and pile driving into the quarterback. That's being a hungry football player, Gord, right there. That is a hungry football player. Saskatchewan is smelling blood right now.
And there's lots of it. Medlock to punt from his one. Look out, it's blocked. Loose in the end zone, pass Freeman, touchdown, Saskatchewan. Freeman blocks it, picks it up, and the Riders with another body blow to Toronto.
They just opened up another gash. I'm telling you, it is everywhere. The field is covered in red right now, caused by the green and white's desire to play the game and play physical and continue to be aggressive, and they do it on special teams. Once again, Kavis Reed gives his special teams an opportunity by being aggressive, untouched up the middle. Nice job by Freeman making it happen.
First-year man from Mary Hardin Baylor. And there's Kavis Reed, the special teams coach, pleased as the Riders add the point after 10 seconds remaining here in the second quarter.
Yes, sir.
I tell you, Toronto can't get to the locker room fast enough right now. They need some gauze, they need some bandages, they need some duct tape, they need some help. They need to settle down. Right up the gut, untouched. Freeman says, what's going on? Lays out perfectly over the top of the kicker's toe, and then goes and gets his own reward. And really, it's just blown this game wide open, 37-13 going into the half here. That's just great special teams. And again, we've seen it offensively, we've seen it defensively, and now we're seeing it special teams. Aggressive mindset on the road, continuing to play hard and not be passive in any facet of the game has paid off for Saskatchewan.
And it seems as though the entire second quarter has been played on one half of the field, the Argo half.
Tale of two quarters, that's for sure. 30 points in the second quarter for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. That's got to be getting close to a record.
I got to think that Jamie Borum's getting worn out kicking off here. And sends a low driving kick down to Edwards from the 15. Edwards trying to find the corner. There's a late flag there as well as Edwards gets out to about the 34-yard line. And now on the near side of the field, we've got pushing and shoving. As Aaron Wagner was involved for Saskatchewan, and for Toronto, it was Raymond Fontaine. And that's the last thing Saskatchewan, or Toronto rather, needs right now.
Holding. Toronto number 51. 10-yard penalty on the run back. First down.
Why not, huh? Another holding on Toronto.
1 second remaining here. How about this, Matt? The farthest the Argonauts have been in the second quarter, their own 30-yard line. Ouch. They have not played outside their 30-yard line in this quarter.
That is one slanted field right there. Yes, that's playing uphill all day long.
Want to be cool and take your knee.
Not a good fit. Not a good feeling. They got to correct this shit, right this shit, and be disciplined in the second half if they're going to come back in this football game.
They're hearing it from the home crowd. Been a long time since they won one here, and the Argonauts in a deep hole as Saskatchewan dominates.
Live at the half is brought to you by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, doing it right since 1939.
Well, a shocking turn of events, a major momentum shift in Toronto as Saskatchewan opens up a 37-13 lead at the half. Dave Rayner, Jock Climbing, Milt Stiegel, and Chris Schultz. This game, the Argos led it to 10-0 at one point, but they're outscored 30-0 in that nightmarish, for the Argos anyway, second quarter, a great second quarter for the Riders. Let's begin with where it started. 4 touchdowns and a safety, Milt. The safety was by Stevie Baggs, a guy who started with Winnipeg. Gary Echeverry, who's now Saskatchewan's defensive coordinator, liked him there. He was a guest coach in Winnipeg, so you know Stevie Baggs. You trained with him in the offseason, and you know what he's bringing to the table.
Oh, yeah, I know Stevie Baggs very well, and I remember when he first got to Winnipeg in 2006. He was on the practice roster, and he wasn't satisfied. He wasn't happy. He was coming to meetings late. He wasn't taking football serious. I gave him a shot in the arm, and you see where he is right now. He's producing. He's making plays. He's having fun, and that's what it's all about. If you look at these plays right now, you'll see Mr. Baggs. His first plays, of course, he's offsides, but he's setting up Rob Murphy, and Rob Murphy is no slouch. Stevie Baggs goes hard upfield, and Mr. Murphy doesn't know what's going on. Then you look at this second play. He sets him up, and he does his spin move. And what makes this spin move is so special, Mr. Baggs is very pigeon-toed. He's 6'1", he's straightening out his legs, and he's 6'4". But Mr. Baggs is having good fun. He's playing hard. Mr. Murphy doesn't know what's going on now. So come this second half, I think Mr. Baggs can do some great moves.
When he did that spin move, all three of you guys went, whoa! Papers went flying up in the air.
It's true. With those pigeon toes, he's already got the little circle going. It's outstanding.
All football fans can really enjoy this. I don't care what position you play, what position you like. This move right here was something special.
Defensive Player of the Week.
Yeah, and hey, they're playing great on both sides of the football. Obviously, there's been lots of questions about Darian Durant and his ability to lead this team. He is looking fantastic, and I thought in the first quarter he showed some true grit and some true leadership, taking a hit early. And I'm telling you, a hit like this to the head that Lynn Shell delivers here, this rattles you. You are the music is ringing in your ears. But look what he does right after that. The very next play, he's got this play right here where he's got Dresser in the flat, he's got Fantus on the out, and he's also got Charles up the seam after the fake. And it takes presence of mind, and it takes a great ability to read the whole field to come backside and hit your running back in the seam. And then 2 plays later, he gets a lot of help here from Fantus with his waggle. And this kind of motion right here, it makes it very difficult for Pyle, who's coming over from his linebacker position, to cover him. Pyle, this is not his strength, trying to cover a receiver one-on-one in the open field. Fantus blows by him, and I love the timing on the Durant throw. The ball was out of his hand the second Fantus took a step to the corner. So Durant playing a great game.
You know, the hit to the chops on Durant, that kind of elevated his game, but the regression for the Toronto Argonauts from the beginning of this game to where they're looking at right now has been nothing less than dramatic, because at the beginning, they had balance, excellent balance in their offense. Jamal Robertson, he was playing some of his best football, similar to what happened in Hamilton. Here, this run is based on his skill, his vision, but he also has, that one's a finesse, the physical side, the exact opposite, lowering the shoulder, moving downfield. All of a sudden on offense, the Argonauts look great, they're on their way, and then this kind of stuff begins to happen. You have these type of penalties. I really like Adriano Belli, but he has to understand, football is about controlled rage, not reactive rage, and there are moments you have that rage, you know what you got to do? You got to let it swallow it. You got to put it in you and allow your digestive system to get it out of you, because he's hurting the Argos right now. And if he doesn't stop that, I'm telling you, it's going to hurt his occupation. Great football player, but he has to play with controlled rage.
Penalties, turnovers, and that block punt. What a killer at the end of the second quarter, and the hole is a whole lot deeper for the Argos at home. Now, they're probably wondering, are we home?
A lot of imagination going on with Bart Andrus' offense right now.
Joseph goes up top, has a man, touchdown. Darian Durant has time, looks in the corner, has a man, touchdown. And this time he will not get away.
That is just sick.
And a nightmare second quarter for the Argonauts.
Here are your halftime numbers, brought to you by Tim Hortons Always Fresh. Milt Stiegel, go to it.
Well, the thing that stands out most for anybody is the second quarter points. The first quarter, Toronto was up 10-0. You look at these second quarter points, and Saskatchewan was able to come away with 30 second quarter points. And that right there is a blatant difference in the reason why Saskatchewan is pretty much blowing them out right now.
They are right now, 37-13. Let's see what Ken Miller, the head coach of Saskatchewan, had to say to our Claude Fig.
Head coach Ken Miller, 30 points in the second half. I don't think you could have probably scripted this any better. What's gone right for your guys?
Well, we've been able to make some big plays on offense. Darian has been spectacular today. And then our teams have been really super. And then we've kind of solved the riddle of their offense a little bit, too. We were able to make some plays and get some stops.
Obviously, the defense has stepped up in the second quarter. You didn't allow the Argos past their own 30-yard line, penalties aside. That says a lot about your defense.
Well, it does say a lot about our defense and then the ability of us to take advantage of opportunities.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you.
Ken Miller's halftime speech, a lot calmer than I'm sure the one that's going on in the Argos dressing room right now. Anxious to see how the Argos are going to respond to that.
TSN is the exclusive broadcaster of the CFL and proud home of the Grey Cup. Not sure if that roof opened or fell in on the Argonauts, but here is Toronto coach Bart Andrus with our Claude Fig.
Well, Coach, things started off well for your team. 10 points in the first half. You give up 30 in the second. Obviously, penalties, the big killer. What went wrong?
Well, we've got to learn to play the game by the rules. We need to regroup in the second half. We got to quit making the penalties that I call controllable mistakes. I mean, if we can do that and we can get back to our game plan without worrying about what's on the scoreboard, what's going on in between plays, if we just stick to what's going on during the play while the play's in session, I think we can turn this around in the second half. And I mean that's what the guys have talked about in the locker room. That's what we're gonna proceed to do.
Okay, Bart Anders, thank you. Good luck.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks.
So a steamy day in Toronto, but it'll be a little cooler here in the building as the roof is open and there's some of the mugginess.
Trying to change the winds a bit, here in Toronto, because it was all Saskatchewan. It seems like they brought their own wind from the prairies and they put it on the Argonauts in the second quarter.
Argos come in with a 6-game home losing streak, Matt. If they lose here this afternoon, they'll tie the longest winless streak at home in franchise history, done twice, once back in the 50s and again in the early 1970s. They haven't won at home since August the 1st of last year, a victory over Hamilton.
That's a long drought. And, I credit the Argo fans for coming out in big numbers here today to support their team and the new coaching staff. But they got to find a way to be more disciplined here in the second half and play between the whistles, I think what Bart Anders was trying to say, and just do what you're supposed to do.
Toronto will open the second half with the football. A short kick taken by Jarrett Payton. And Payton works his way up the sidelines, high stepping a little bit. Forced out of bounds on the 45-yard line, so Kerry Joseph and the Argos will have good field position, something they did not enjoy in the second quarter.
Yeah, it was all Kerry Joseph in the first quarter and utilizing his legs as well. And you look at, and then in the second quarter, it was Darian Durant taking advantage of Toronto's misfortunes and miscues, and to me, you have to be advantageous. You have to be Johnny on the spot and capitalize on those situations, and Darian was able to do that in the second quarter.
The Argos did not have the football outside their 30-yard line in the second quarter, but now Jamal Robertson fights his way down to the Saskatchewan half of the field as he's taken down at the 49-yard line, a gain of 16.
Yeah, and you can't abandon the run, because you're down 24 points, or 27 points. You have to go out there and maintain, some type of balance offensively. Otherwise, this is going to get uglier in a hurry. And so it's a good sign to see them continue to stick with the run.
And here they come again. Robertson bounces outside. And this time, he is stopped by Ray Williams as he fights his way down to the 46-yard line. Jamal Robertson, the 32-year-old who has had his long tour through football. One thing he is, though, he is vested in the NFL pension plan. He got enough games in to be vested in that NFL plan. That is nice.
That is huge. Some people may be watching the Argonauts open up the second half here with 2 runs and saying, they're conceding this game. They're going to try to find some type of rhythm. I don't believe that's the case. I think you have to stay with the run game, and I know that Jamal Robinson's family and friends that are in the stands, we just saw that, are excited to see him continue to get the opportunity to do his thing.
And now a pass complete to Arlen Bruce, and Bruce fights his way down to the 32-yard line. So whatever Bart Andrus said to his group at halftime, they've come out firing here in the second half.
That's Arlen Bruce. It looks like whatever he did at halftime, and number 5 right in your picture, on Eddie Davis. Eddie Davis coming over the top. He gets lost. He gets kind of picked and bumped high over the top, and that's what happens oftentimes when you got crossing routes like that. You got to work yourself through traffic. Eddie Davis has to redirect high and over the top. Gives Arlen Bruce enough space to come down with a big catch.
Now he's taken Robertson, swing it back to Bruce, and he makes the catch down to the 20-yard line. And Matt, we're going to say this delicately, but Arlen Bruce is playing in pain this week.
Yeah.
Capital P. He has, let's just put it this way, great discomfort in his posterior region. How's that?
Yeah, and it came out, unfortunately, but that's what it is. And, he's been standing around a lot this week, he's just, he needs to be out there, though. I credit him fighting through this because it's very painful. I understand, and he's getting it up.
makes his way down close to the 15-yard line, a gain of about 4. We talked about Jamal Robertson having family here.
Yeah, another up in the stands, enjoying a beautiful Saturday afternoon here in Toronto.
There's his dad and his son here.
Man, the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree, does it? Well, you can see Jamal coming out all over there. They're just a lot of similarities. Good looking family.
Now the fake to Robinson. Joseph under pressure, throws down to the 5, and Arland Bruce can't make the catch as A.D. Davis was all over him. And Bruce momentarily argued, but there is no flag on the play.
Yeah, and that's great pressure by the defense. It's Kerry Joseph, little play fake here, comes out, and then you see in your face right there, Sean Lucas is all over it, and he's pressures Kerry Joseph to pull up and throw a ball before he was ready to throw the football, and credit aggressive play. Bringing Lucas off the edge, knowing and anticipating that Kerry is going to boot with that football. Outside contained, stays high, forces Kerry to pull up and throw an errant pass.
Medlock's had a punt block for a touchdown, but is 2 for 2 in the field goal department. And from the 23, that is good, and the Argonauts open the second half with points. But a big hill to climb. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by Sport Check. Sport Check, the power of sport.
Think they came all the way from Regina?
Maybe. Well, again, they might have stayed from the Grey Cup, I'm telling you.
And
this stadium's been good to them.
It certainly has.
Eric Morris takes the kickoff, has some room, and here comes Morris out across the 25 to the 28-yard line, and he's brought down by Willie Pyle. As Darian Durant and the Saskatchewan offense will go back to work. We mentioned that the Argos, or the Riders rather, won their last 2 Grey Cups here in Toronto. It was 20 years ago that Saskatchewan beat Hamilton in that classic Grey Cup game here in 1989. We'll be in Regina in a couple weeks' time for a game between the Eskimos and Riders.
Kent Austin went off that day.
And they're going to have that team together. The 89 team will be celebrated that night in Regina. Looking forward to that. Durant on first down. Has time. Follow the outside. Shivers can't make the catch. Great chance there for the Argos to make a quick strike on defense, but Jason Shivers couldn't squeeze it.
You were talking there, Gordon. As soon as he's dropped and stopped and tried to throw that long out, I knew it was in trouble, and I said, uh-oh, and I apologize for getting on you there. But I tell you, this ball had no business being thrown. It was going back the other way, and he's got to be coming back the other way with that, especially down like this, 21 points. Boy, that would have gone a long way in making this a ball game.
And Durant took a late shot as well. Second and long now for Saskatchewan. That's a early jump there by Charles. And it was not flagged, and the pass is complete to Chris Getzlaff, who was close to a first down, but it looked as though Hugh Charles was at least 3 yards offside.
Yeah, there's just that's designed to take advantage of a receiver just finding a hole, get the ball out of your hands in a hurry, and let him break a tackle and hopefully move the chains or put you in a situation where you're thinking about going for it. Stephen Giles looks like he is coming to the game. They're going bigs, and
let's have another look at that, Matt, and see if Charles was offside. Yeah.
You think? It happens. He's small. They might not have seen it.
Third and short. Giles in with the short yardage team for Saskatchewan. Giles kind of got a late jump there, but moved his way ahead and should have it as Ivan made the stop.
Yeah, he did. You really can't hesitate, because if you hesitate, you'll have the defensive line chewing at your knees, and you'll have separation. And what you want to do is you want to get small in behind your offensive lineman. You watch Giles hesitate and create separation right here. The separation and he's really got to hump it to get in there and power for a few inches to hopefully pick up a first down, and they got it. But he's got to do a better job of following the tails of those big offensive linemen into those holes and follow that surge.
And this is the give to Charles. Works his way out to about the 42-yard line before he's snacked up by a host of Argos. Kevin Ivan has likely moved into second place on the Argos all-time tackles list now.
That's unbelievable. He, Donnie Moan, and the leader, Mike O'Shea, are all over 500 tackles in their careers as Toronto Argonauts. And the thing that impresses me is Ivan's still got many years left in him, and he could make a run at the unthinkable and going after Mike O'Shea's number of 800 plus.
Second down for Saskatchewan. And now Durant goes over the top. He's got a man, Dressler, but the pass falls in behind him. Dressler had snuck in behind Shivers on the coverage, along with Will Poole, but Durant could not get him the football.
This is not a scene you want to see too often if you're Paul LaPolice. Kevin Huntley, 6'7", 290 some odd pounds, sitting in the lap of your quarterback, helmet in his chest plate, burying him. And talking to Kevin yesterday, he says, when I get to the quarterback, I come with mean intentions. He wants to hurt him. And you can see him wrapping him up. He did not lay off. He wrapped him up. Perfect form tackle. Credit Durant getting rid of the football, not taking the sack, and putting his team in a better situation, punting the football away.
I was standing next to you when he said it, and you appeared to have a little flashback there, a little post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah, I was leaning like I was going to run because I didn't know if he was losing it right there or snapping in front of me. He is an imposing figure.
And he did say it with a gleam in his eye.
And he's happy to talk about it.
Y'all, camera, Sean, love y'all. Baby needs you.
He was working with Desai Williams, the Argos strength and conditioning coach, for the last 10 days or so, rehabbing from an ankle, and he was actually running out of the straps they used to contain him, and he was breaking out of them. He was so strong and powerful. Desai went to the staff and said, "We got to get this guy in the field."
Well, kick to Devontae Edwards, returnable, but a great special teams tackle made downfield by Saskatchewan's Jarrell Freeman, who has a touchdown today as the Riders have a big lead. Tomorrow, the IndyCar Series takes to the streets of Toronto for the 2009 Toronto Indy. TSN's got live coverage of the race starting at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. I'll tell you what, if they let cab drivers enter that, those Indy racers wouldn't have a chance.
I'm not touching that one, boy.
Harry Joseph under pressure, the ball knocked way up in the air and intercepted. Steve Baggs, the defensive player of the week in the CFL, is making another bid. He's forced a safety in this game, and now he's got an interception on the tip ball.
Just look at the explosion. Look at the explosion off the edge, and then once the ball's tipped, there he is. You can see him right here. Look at the leverage he's getting down there. He's underneath the O-lineman already. Bang. He's untouched. He takes outside. Arms are up in the air.
And it was
Joseph goes head over tails. And Stevie Baggs explodes to the football. Watch the explosion, the redirect right here. Bang. Now it's sprint time. Great athletic play.
Now a chance for Charles. He breaks free. And Charles with a first down gets inside the 15-yard line. Another Saskatchewan first down on a gain of 20 yards.
You know, Gordon, when I saw this kid play last week, he reminded me in this specific situation of Corey Holmes when he was in full flight playing for Saskatchewan. And when you see Hugh Charles take the edge right here, you can almost see the Corey Holmes right there and the explosion and the quickness that he has to the corner. Well, you can't coach that. That is just raw speed.
Saskatchewan has forced 11 turnovers in 2 games so far now. And trying to take advantage of it here as Charles gets a couple of yards. The Riders outscored the Argos 30-0. in a second quarter in which they dominated every facet of the game.
It's like they were hitting them with brass knuckles or something, because they were just destroying them and drawing blood every time they stepped on the field, whether it was defense, offense, or special teams. They were making things happen.
Should mention Jason Claremont remains on the sidelines for Saskatchewan after leaving the game in the first quarter. And we'll get an update from Claude Fig when that's available. Second and long. And Durant. Quarterback draw, and he'll fight his way down to about the 8-yard line. He'll be a couple of yards short of a Saskatchewan first down.
That's one of those plays that, they had success with last week, scored a touchdown against BC with this. And Toronto's been game filming and studying on this. And, it's one of those plays where you can't run it too often, particularly down in the same situation. He kind of stumbles a bit, but that play had no chance of going anywhere because Toronto was waiting for it. Got to put that one away a while and try a different situation where to run it and to catch a defense off guard and successfully be able to execute that play. So nice job by Toronto doing their homework and making the play and forcing this field goal attempt.
Kanji had one blocked earlier in the first quarter. And this time he bangs it off the upright. And so Saskatchewan gets nothing off the turnover. And the Toronto Argonauts dodge one there. Still down by 21. Well, the sack tally brought to you by Purolator, where business is going. For every sack in tonight's game, Purolator will donate the quarterback's weight in food to a local food bank. Saskatchewan has 11 sacks in a game and a bit after 9 last week against BC. 2 today. Toronto has 1 on first down. Jamal Robertson with the carry, and he gets out across the 30 to the 31-yard line, and Stevie Baggs has one of those sacks for a safety.
Yeah, he's on the bench. He was getting tended to by the trainer down there, looking at his left leg, and taking a breather right now, and getting a foot massage. He's had a hard day. It's like gotta get a pedicure in a little bit here. Life is tough when you're a rider making plays. That's what can happen for you when you do well in Saskatchewan.
Second and short. Joseph throws it over the middle, and the pass is complete to the intended target, Steve Schmidt, the tight end, and that'll be a first down for Toronto.
See Stevie Baggs, his body of work today. Great move on one of the best tackles in the league, and gets a safety sack there. Covering, flying down on special teams. Big tackle here. Playing the run like they're supposed to. Squeezing, getting to the ball. Knocking the ball up in the air and making an athletic play with the intercept. This guy's all over the football field, and he's doing it for his mom, Lola, on her birthday.
Might be 2 for 2 in the Defensive Player of the Week category. Lots of time for Joseph. This is Robertson. Bounces off the first tackle. Makes his way up for a first down and gets close to midfield as he's finally brought down at the Toronto 53-yard line. A gain of 17 yards.
I know the Robertsons in the stands, are enjoying watching their son play some football here. And when he gets an opportunity to touch the ball, he's electrifying. Last year he didn't get that opportunity consistently. And when he did, he made big things happen. And again, last week, 134 yards on the ground, over 200 yards total yard in offense. And then he's having a nice day here today when he gets a chance to touch the football.
Play action fake to Robinson, throwing ahead. The pass is incomplete for Arland Bruce. A perfectly executed play, except for the last part.
Yeah. It just looked like Kerry, was very tentative in that throw. Arland Bruce is on the inside right here, and you watch him. Comes off the line of scrimmage. Everything's there. Arland's in space. And the ball comes off very tentatively from Kerry Joseph's hand, and Arland can't come up with a catch. It should have been an easy first down.
Second down. Joseph under pressure from Baggs. Has a look downfield. Has an incomplete. This is Reggie McNeil on a foot race. McNeil inside the 10, inside the 5 to the 4-yard line. A big play for Toronto. It's a pickup of 52 yards.
Yeah, Reggie McNeil, you know, he and Omar Morgan been going at it all day long, and the Kerry buys time with his feet, which we know he can do. Omar falls down, and Reggie just like, here I am. Kerry sees him, but does a nice job of keeping his eyes downfield. Look, his eyes are downfield. He sees him standing all alone. The Argonauts are threatening once again.
3 minutes to go here in the third quarter. The Argos down by 3 touchdowns, but now threatening from just inside the 5-yard line. First and goal. And Joseph has time, has a look to the goal line. A late flag comes down as the catch is made at the goal line by Schmidt at the 1-yard line.
Stevie Baggs is not happy, and I think this call may be going against him. He is not happy. And I think it may be a late hit on Joseph. And
now, do you take first and goal from the 2.5? That would be first and goal at the 1 regardless, as it came at the end of the play.
Well, Kerry had all day there to find a receiver in the end zone. Credit the secondary of Saskatchewan for sticking to their man.
Roughing the passer, Saskatchewan number 90. Up after this is for the goal. Automatic first down.
Fellow scrimmage from the 1, first and goal. And now the Argos will send some meat in to punch it in.
Yeah, you know, Kerry's standing there. He's got like 4 1,000s at least, maybe 5, and Baggs comes in late. Oh boy, that's questionable. I could see why he was a little upset with that call, because that was, I mean, he just touched the back of his lower back and didn't even hardly jolt him. But I guess lessons learned. Keep your hands off the quarterback when the ball's away.
First and goal from the 1. Toss to Robertson. He will stroll for the touchdown.
That's a walk-in.
30,000 plus here in Toronto. Finally have reason to celebrate. So do his father and son.
Oh yeah, just loving it.
And this caps off a 7-play, 85-yard drive for Toronto that gives the Argos some life. Point after is good. And the Argos with 10 points here in the third quarter. Now down 14.
Let's go. Hey, don't put the camera on me.
Another big day for Jamal Robertson. 81 yards rushing, 21 yards receiving, and another touchdown.
Right there.
Yeah, you watch him pull an offensive lineman right here, the big boy right here. You watch him move, and he'll pull out in front. Jonathan Woodward does a nice job of getting out front, but you know what? Robinson says, no, I don't need that block. I'm just going to outrun everybody to the corner, and that's what we call another walk-in. That's too easy. That's speed, folks. That's what that is.
Well, it was a shootout here in the last meeting. On the final week of the season last year, Saskatchewan won 43-35. And we've got another offensive explosion here this afternoon, as the ball is brought out by Eric Morris to about the 30-yard line, and now a huge series for Toronto's D.
It really is, you know, and Gordon, we were talking about it. They came out in the third quarter, you know, they ran the ball a couple times, and then they spread it around to their most lethal weapon, Arlen Bruce, and they got a field going. Okay, that stopped the bleeding a little bit. Their defense came out. Shivers should have had a pick and walk into the touchdown. It didn't happen. But, you know, this football team seemed to have righted the ship and settled down a little bit. And it's a huge series for them to try to get a 2-and-out and want to return it.
Play action. And Durant goes over the top, and that pass is complete to Rob Bagg. That'll be marked up at the 43-yard line. A Saskatchewan first down.
Yeah, that, you know, this is solid play by Darian Durant. You know, his little play fake, get depth here, get depth. I'd like to see him get a little more depth there to create a little more vision. But a nice comeback route there, a simple comeback route by Bagg, and well-executed play. Stop the bleeding a little bit here for Saskatchewan offense.
Charles, and he is stacked up quickly. Pyle in the middle of that, along with Kevin Huntley to make the stop.
That's Coach Kaharchek, defensive coordinator for Toronto. He's been in the league before, way back when in BC. Cut his teeth in BC. Defensive assistant. Defensive coordinator here in Toronto. Still openly, admittingly saying that, you know, there's a lot of things that he's still unsure of here in the Canadian Football League. But one thing we know for sure is defensive line played that run extremely well the last play.
The chance over the middle, and the pass is complete to Andy Fantuz, and he's got a first down as he spun away from Will Poole over the middle and moves the ball into Toronto territory.
Yeah, it's pressure time for Toronto, trying to make things happen, erase this deficit that they're looking at here in the third quarter. Nice recognition by Darian Durant to see Andy Fantuz over the middle in a hot route. Nice release pattern, delivers the ball perfectly to him. And Willie Poole was just a little too deep there, and it's kind of like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. If I come up on them, they're going to go over the top. If I play too far off, they're going to get the throw underneath. Tough position to be in for Willie Poole.
Now Charles switches through the Toronto line, gets inside the 40 to the 36-yard line. And Hugh Charles continues to rack up the yards, a gain of 17.
Nice job executing up front by the offensive line. Saskatchewan open up a gaping hole on the outside. Got a hat and a hat. Hugh Charles exploits that without question.
Final play now of this third quarter. After giving up 30 in the second, Toronto has posted 10 here in the third. This is Charles again. Wrapped up initially by Ivan, and now shoved down hard by Ronald Flemons. And that will end the third quarter. The Argonauts creep closer. Saskatchewan leads by 14 with the fourth quarter to come from Toronto. Stats after three quarters brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always. Well, of note, Saskatchewan are 21 points off turnovers in this game, but net yards are close, as is time of possession. Toronto coach Bart Andrus talked to our Claude Fig after the first half and said he wanted his team to start playing smarter. Did that in the third quarter.
Yeah, and between the whistles, there was too much extracurricular activity after the whistles, and it cost his football team. They lost their discipline. Well, they're now playing between the whistles, and they're getting the job done, and they've given themselves a chance here in the fourth quarter, only trailing by 14.
And so the Toronto Argonauts, who were dominated in the second quarter, answer back a little bit in the third. And now Saskatchewan with the ball inside Toronto territory on second and long, and the pass is incomplete, trying to screen it up for Stu Ford, but that will bring up third down. And Luca Conji's having a tough afternoon kicking field goals for Saskatchewan. His first attempt was blocked, his second went off the upright. He missed from 16 yards out earlier. By the way, things get tough for both these teams next week. Toronto, with a short week, goes to Calgary on Friday. Saskatchewan returns home and faces that juggernaut from Montreal.
Well, it's a huge field goal, in my opinion, right now for Saskatchewan to go up by 3 scores as opposed to 2 right now. And he puts this 41-yarder through. You know, they can take a little bit of a breath being up 17. He's got to make this.
Flags are down. Conji puts it up, and it is good. We'll see what the flag is about. Conji missed only 6 times last year on 44 attempts. 9 times out of 10, this is offside against the defending team, and that is the case again.
Offside. Toronto number 6. Penalties decline. Field goal's good.
Yeah, leave the points on the board, Gordon. Like I said, that's a 17-point lead now as opposed to 14. And, you know, they're probably taking a little bit of a breather over there on Saskatchewan sidelines. And Toronto's still got to keep the pedal to the metal and come out flying here in the fourth quarter here with aggressive offensive play calling. Continue to work the ball to Robertson in the middle, open up Carey on the edge, and start getting some big plays to McNeil and Bruce, and they got a chance. Ever since they opened that roof, does it have anything to do with that, Gord? Do you think there's any any relation? No? Just playing between the lines? Is that what you're saying?
Well, they used to accuse the Blue Jays, actually, of opening the roof when they were behind because the wind quite often comes in off the lake and would help hitters knock the ball out. So if they were behind, they wanted some offense. Now, if a pitcher had a good night going, they'd want the roof closed, dead in the air a little bit. I'm not sure about the Argonauts, though, if that works for them.
It seems like Saskatchewan would be comfortable playing in the wind.
So a 3-possession lead, as you say, but still lots of time to play here in the fourth quarter. Warren with a kickoff, high in the air, short. Edwards from the 23-yard line. And Devontae Edwards fights his way out to the 34. So Bart Andrus and Gary Joseph will go back to work. Interesting relationship they have. Of course, Andrus with no CFL experience before this season, and so he's relied on Joseph a lot to teach him about the finer points of the game.
Yeah, and when we had a chance to talk to Bart again yesterday, you know, he made mention of that, and to me, you know, that's a sign of a quality coach when he's willing to admit to his player that we're in this together, because I don't know everything about this game. I'm learning from you as well as you learn from me. To me, that says a lot about Bart Andrus.
Here's Joseph with time, swings it out. The pass is incomplete. The other thing that Bart Andrus did was watch tape of Kerry Joseph. Some of it from last year, but also he went back 2 years to watch Joseph from his MVP season in Saskatchewan. He wanted to see what Kerry Joseph had done well in the CFL.
That's right, and I think we're seeing Kerry Joseph once again in his comfort zone because Bart has done his homework and put him in a very comfortable state of mind, being able to do things that he likes to do. In fact, they go over the game plan the day before the ball game, and if Kerry's got any doubt as to a play and execution of it, he will eliminate it right there because he just never want to put his quarterback in a comfortable situation.
24 touchdowns to 8 interceptions in that MVP year. And now Joseph over the middle, and this time Schmidt wraps up the football. He's got a first down to the Toronto 45-yard line.
That was big. That was big, keeping this drive alive. You know, it's just a simple sit-down route. Kerry Joseph's going to peruse the field, and he's going to see Schmidt just come right over his head. Linebacker shoots to the left. He works left or weak, straight back or weak. I'm going to work strong, and that's Schmidt finds the hole there, front side, and he gives him the ball, moves the chains. And this is an important drive for Toronto to continue to try to get some momentum going here late in this ball game.
Tries the other side, but the pass is a one-hopper to Reggie McNeil, and that'll bring up second down. Reggie McNeil is actually Toronto's third quarterback. The Argos only carry 2 on the roster, Joseph and Cody Pickett. So Reggie McNeil, who was a quarterback in college, is their third QB.
Yeah, and actually, you know, Stephen Reeves, you know, they have a third quarterback in camp, but he's on the practice roster, and they keep him around. But I don't know why they don't activate him for these ball games, you know, but they keep Reggie McNeil there, and they play one player short of the 42-man total.
Joseph under pressure, swings it deep. The pass is incomplete, looking for James Robinson, but Gary Joseph had green helmets in his face.
Yeah, according to Milt Stiegel in our studio, I can tell you that Scott Schultz, Chris Schultz's youngest son, is on the pressure. And there's that formation again, 7-man rush, and creates a lot of havoc for the people up front because it's such a unorthodox front. You got 3 people to the right, 2 over the middle, and 2 to the left. And Scott Schultz gets pressure on Joseph and makes him throw an errant pass, forcing a punt.
Scott Schultz, by the way, from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, no relation.
No relation to Schultz, none whatsoever.
He's too short. He's only 6'2". Medlock with the punt. Eric Morris from the 25 gets about 3. The CFL on TSN returns to Toronto after this. Back here in Toronto, Gord Miller and Matt Dunnigan, along with Claude Fay. Claude?
Well, Gord, the Roughriders have certainly been putting the hurt on the Argos most of the afternoon, but they haven't gone unscathed. Slot back Jason Claremont got banged up in the first half, and right now he's suffering from some back pains in the lower half. In fact, he's had some ice on it, but has not come back to action yet. But quarterback Lance Fraser is definitely done for the day. He suffered a hip pointer. On the Argo sideline, keep an eye on Adriano Belli. He's got his left ankle all taped up, came out of the half a little bit limping, so we're not sure how much he's been able to contribute as he normally does because of that, guys.
Thank you, Claude. Hugh Charles with the carry, and Kevin Iben makes the stop on him after a gain of, we'll call it 4.
The cruel sport. You're playing with a cracked pelvic bone, basically, and then now you get an ankle on top of it. Adriano Belli is a true warrior. He's one of the, he's a strong force, often taking 2 and 3 players on at a time every play, and he's really working through some pain right now.
And as you mentioned, a short week before the Argonauts go to Calgary to play on Friday night. This is only the Argos' second game in the last 21 days. They had only played once in the last 17 coming in.
And fantastic, in my opinion, for a young coaching staff to the Canadian Football League to have this time between not only the first preseason game but the first regular season game on the road, to have a victory there, to go back to be able to study the film for the next 10 days before you play again, was an exceptional scheduling for the Toronto Argonauts, because they've really been able to kind of take their time, absorb a lot of the nuances of the game, and then put some schemes in place in order to take advantage of what they've been looking at.
Big stop there by the Argonaut defense, and it forces Saskatchewan to punt. Jamie Borum sends that low, and this is Devontae Edwards with some time, looking for a block. He gets out to about the 48-yard line. Good field position for Toronto to start. Well, TSN's live coverage of the 2009 Open Championship begins Thursday at 6:30. Plus, catch the action live online at tsn.ca with exclusive coverage of holes 16, 17, and 18. That's the British Open here.
Oh, okay.
That's
the Open. They just call it the Open now?
No. In Britain,
okay,
it's known as the Open Championship.
Okay.
It's only over here.
What do they call it in the States? And what do they call it in Canada? Where are we?
We call it the Open Championship.
I thought it was a British Open.
Well, you can call it that. But technically,
I'm looking forward to the Canadian Open.
Ooh, look at that. Pass was almost intercepted there, as sneaking up was Sean Lucas on that pass by Kerry Joseph.
Yeah, no, Kerry has not been on the mark with these throws all day long. You know, he's put a lot of them on the feet of his receivers, and I credit that with the pressure and people being in his lap. Now, he may look like he's got a clean throw there in sight lines and vision, but actually he can't step into the throw, and he's got to rely on his arm, and oftentimes you don't have your balance, and the ball will either sail on you or you'll throw it short, which we've seen often today.
Second down is a 3-man rush. Joseph steps up. Look out from behind. He's taking the football. Knocked out of his hands by John Chick. Another turnover forced by the Saskatchewan defense. And the Riders have the ball at the Toronto 49-yard line. It has been a huge day once again for the Saskatchewan defense. And the Riders have the ball back. John Chick is the latest Saskatchewan Roughriders to step up defensively.
Yeah, Utah State product. He's right here on the edge, folks. He's right in your lap. There he is. Watch this play. He's against one of the best in the league. Rob Murphy holds his ground, redirects, stays on the football, strip right there, comes over the top, gets mangled in the pile, creates a turnover. Shulligan picks it up. Once again, aggressive defensive play and just getting after the ball by the Saskatchewan defense creates a turnover.
That is 12 forced turnovers in 2 games so far this season by Saskatchewan.
How many did you say?
12. 7 last week, and now 5 today against Toronto.
Here are a look at the 5 turnovers from today's ball game. I tell you, this is a nice play by Ray Williams in the middle, creating a fumble right there. This is created by defense and just living in the lap of the back and the quarterback here. We got Jarrell Freeman coming through the middle, untouched. Great play by the special teams. Kerry Joseph right here, we just saw this, stripping the ball. Coming up, Keith Sholigan making it happen. Saskatchewan defense relentless in the turnover category this season.
That'll be a great battle next week in Regina. And Montreal comes calling. Fires that over the middle. And the pass.
Fantus, it looked like Big Andy Fantus.
Chris Getzlaff actually makes the grab.
Oh, nice. And I credit you for getting that name correct, sir.
Well, we put a $500 fine in. If the hockey guy called him Ryan Getzlaff, it was a $500 fine. So I'm cheap. I don't want to pay.
Hey, you know what? This is like taking candy from a baby. And Getzlaff does a nice job attacking the zone coverage. And when you have zone, you attack your area of the coverage. The play will develop in front of you. You get to your depth, and you work to the open spot. That was a pitch and catch for both quarterback and receiver. Nicely done. That is football 101, taking advantage of a zone defense, and they did it to perfection.
He's one of 4 Regina natives playing for the Riders. And Saskatchewan has a great tradition of turning out top quality football players.
They certainly do.
That Regina Rams program, which used to be a junior football program, now part of the University of Regina, legendary in Canadian football circles.
Yeah, we showed the World Junior Football Championships, a little highlight package from that last week, and the U.S. competing against Canada. Wasn't much of a game in the championship game. They credit Canada for getting there and competing hard once again.
He got about 9.5 yards. It brings up 2nd and short with 9 minutes remaining here in the 4th quarter. And once again, Giles works his way ahead, and he'll have a Saskatchewan first down.
Did you hear that sound, Gord? Did you hear that sound? That's football right there. And believe me, I think Rogers Center is in full flight and at its best when the roof is open and we have an afternoon game like this and 2 combatants. Listen to this.
And by the way, more stuff goes on at the bottom of those piles.
You do not want to be there. You do not want to be there. This is the best place to be, watching it and listening to it. Watching those guys do it down there.
Durant has that pass batted down by Kevin Ivan. That'll bring up 2nd down for Saskatchewan. It was all Argos early on. They took a 10-0 lead. They threw a ton of looks at Saskatchewan, seemed to have the Riders off balance, but then in the 2nd quarter, Saskatchewan took control and the Argos imploded. There's no other way to put it.
There's really not. And I think you said it best. They took control. They were aggressive in all facets of the game. They took control away from the Argonauts, and Argonauts, to their credit, came back, focused in the 3rd quarter, made it a ball game. And quite frankly, still in this ball game if they did stop here.
Second down, Durant to the sidelines, and a catch made by Rob Bagg, who took a late shove. And he is close to, but will not have, a Saskatchewan first down.
It's the head linesman right there, Don Cousins, Johnny on the spot, marking him inbounds, bringing up a 3rd and a couple, looks like. Really close look here. See if Baggs gets his feet down here and has control of the football. Oh yeah, that's what a receiver lives for. That catch right there. That was perfection. That was nicely done by both parties, both Bagg and Don Cousins on the side.
Luka Kanji will try it with Rob Bagg to hold her from the 38-yard line. Almost blocked again, but Kanji puts it through, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders have extended their lead here in the 4th quarter in Toronto. The game story is brought to you by Molson Canadian. This is our beer. 30-0 was the score for Saskatchewan in the second quarter. Hugh Charles and Jamal Robertson both having good days. The Argos have coughed the ball up 5 times. It's led to 24 points by Saskatchewan. And the BC Lions know the feeling.
The score wasn't 30-0 at the point. It was just 30-0 in the second quarter, right? It was 37-13 for Saskatchewan over Toronto. And it all happened there in the second quarter.
Devontae Edwards on the return, gets out across the 30-yard line. And so Bart Andrus will send Kerry Joseph back to work. And he does call the plays. Let's make no mistake about it. Bart Andrus is the head coach, the offensive coordinator. He was asked yesterday, do you sit in on the quarterback meetings? He said, no, I run them.
That's right. That's right. And very adamantly said that to us. And we all chuckled because, you know, we know his love. I mean, being a quarterback from the University of Montana and playing there, you know, he's got a love for the game. He likes the X's and O's, and that is his baby.
Joseph swings it up, and the pass is complete. And Brian Crawford has his legs cut out from under him on a solid defensive play by Donovan Alexander, the corner.
Oh, that could be career ending right there.
The Saskatchewan coach was asked about Donovan Alexander because it's rare to have a Canadian play the corner. Alexander's a Winnipeg native. I don't care where he's from.
That's right.
He's a good corner.
He's like, he doesn't look at whether a C or an A is on a player's chest. He just looks at players, and he says, of course, we have to deal with the ratio come game time, but he coaches players, and then this kid was a straight-up player, and that's why he's on this football team starting at the corner position.
3rd and long now for Saskatchewan, or Toronto rather. The punting unit will come on as Justin Medlock makes his way on, and we're seeing the early personality of the Saskatchewan team so far this season. This is going to be a very punishing, aggressive defense.
You know, there was a lot of fear when they lost Richie Hall, Maurice Lloyd, Kiwana Jones, Scott Gordon from the staff and the team last year, that they would not have the same type of aggressive, attacking, brilliant defensive play. Well, that's not the case. In the 2 weeks that we've seen Saskatchewan defensively play football, I can tell you that they are as violent and as quick and as fast-flowing and fun to watch as ever before. And I credit Ray Williams, I credit Sean Lucas, I credit a lot of people over there, John Chick for getting back into it. I credit Gary Echeverry, and this football team and the Rider Nation is in for one heck of a season watching this group particularly play some football.
Looking forward to next week and seeing Anthony Calvillo in Montreal go into Regina.
Oh, that guy is on fire. You know, it'll be unorthodox versus technical.
And there's Charles on 1st down, and he is stopped by Flemons on a quick tackle. Well, here's the difference between an announcer and a quarterback. I wear glasses so I can see the field. The quarterback wears Prada sunglasses.
I forgot I had these on. Sorry.
Oh, you forgot. You're the first guy I've ever known.
Sorry.
Oh, you're over here.
Sorry.
Look at you. Hey, Hollywood, look at you.
Hey, brother, I'm just enjoying it. Like I said, I love the Rogers Center 1. And being here when the roof's open on a sunny afternoon, watching 2 quality teams get after it early on in the 2009 CFL season. I'm in my heyday, as I know many CFL fans are.
Durant goes over the top, but that pass is intercepted as it's picked off by Toronto's Will Poole. And Poole still going. Finally wrapped up, but he's got the ball to the Saskatchewan 46-yard line. And that brings the crowd to its feet here in Toronto.
Oh, yeah, and this is exactly what they needed with only 4 and change left in this ball game. Down by 20, they needed a defensive play, and they get it from Will Poole, who's rangy in the middle. Darian Durant just staring down his receivers, got some in his lap, and just it never sees Will Poole, never sees him. Thinks he's got an wide open receiver, and he just sticks it in, and that's because he had somebody living in his kitchen sink, we like to call it, as a quarterback. He has no vision when somebody's on him like that. He never sees Will Poole, and Will Poole pulls it down and puts Toronto in a good situation.
But
Kayla, I love you, baby.
There's a penalty.
I think that's on Will Poole.
And Durant says, hey, that one's mine.
Yeah, and he knows it. But, you know, I know that he's going above and beyond the call of duty there because, you know, he had pressure in his lap. And, you know, he knows he should have seen that guy and know that Will Poole was there. But pressure in his lap, he says, you know what, that's on me. Got to go a long way in the film room with his teammates.
There's an illegal block called against Toronto, a block to the back. And that pushes them back to their own 49-yard line. Joseph over the middle. He's got James Robinson. And Robinson across midfield to the Saskatchewan 53-yard line. 4.5 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. And Toronto goes to the hurry-up.
And that's Alexander right there, you know, trailing Robinson there and making a nice play. And you can see why he's, you know, he's in the ball game because, you know, he's a very talented young kid. And, again, going back to, I don't care, you know, you look at Davis Sanchez and how long he's played well in the Canadian Football League as a Canadian player. It doesn't matter. If you're a ball player, coaches will play you. And that's the case with this young man.
Reggie McNeil with a catch down the Saskatchewan 40-yard line. That removes the sticks as we are now inside 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, this is when you show your bravado as a quarterback. You got somebody wailing in on you right here, and you stay there, and you take the hit and then deliver the pass. And Keith Shulkin gets there just a little bit too late, but Kerry Joseph knows that he's around. Nice play on both parts.
First down, Joseph gets away from the pressure. Over top, he's got his man. McNeil dropped it. Oh. Reggie McNeil dropped the football. He was wide open at the 15-yard line.
Oh, John Chick just is all over Kerry Joseph, and Kerry Joseph using his athletic ability to avoid Chick flying at him, and then he sets his feet and throws a strike. Here's what it looks like in the backfield. Everything seems fine. Then all hell breaks loose right there. Chick is coming, and Joseph avoids him, throws a strike.
Oof.
And unfortunately, Reggie can't hold on to him.
Dropped one in the end zone in the first half. Now Joseph goes the other way. James Robinson makes the catch inside the 20 to the 19-yard line. That will be a Toronto first down. The clock continues to run.
Big first down. Now, with a 20-point lead at 3:15 to go in the ball game, you know, I see Saskatchewan doing some things here, you know, and particularly in this play that, you know, was very soft and very passive, and like they were going ahead and catch mode, and they were like willing to give up that play. And Kerry said, "Thank you very much." Got it wide open to Robinson.
Now Joseph again with time, swings into the end zone, has a man, and he is caught for a touchdown. Tyler Scott makes the grab.
Oh, man. Oh, baby. Not too often a quarterback can flutter a football 45 yards down the field and stick it on the money. That's what Kerry Joseph does.
Tyler Scott's first career CFL touchdown gets his team a little closer, as it is now a 14-point.
Standing in the pocket, and then he comes off the bump on the mound, looked like throwing a fastball, or a cutter in that case, and it got to his final resting point in the arms of Tyler Scott.
Medlock puts it through, and the Argonauts pull a little closer on Scott's first CFL touchdown. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, doing it right since 1939. So the Saskatchewan lead is down to 13 with 2:49 to go. And now Justin Medlock would appear to be trying a short kick to the near side of the field, as that is where there are 8 Argonauts waiting. And Medlock puts it way up in the air. Is it far enough? Bounces down. Who got it?
Ball's kicked out of bounds.
I don't think anyone touched it.
It'll be Saskatchewan's football.
The flag comes down at the 45-yard line. I think that ball went untouched.
That's right, but it'd be Saskatchewan.
Illegal kickoff out of bounds. Toronto number 7. Saskatchewan's declining the penalty, but going to take the football. First down.
There you go. That's a no-brainer. You know, nobody touches it. You know, you're waiting for somebody. You're waiting to go the full 10 yards, and it hasn't, so people don't want to touch it prematurely. And right here, they let it go, and it bounces, and I don't know how it gets through traffic there.
I thought Bradwell did touch it. I thought Mike Bradwell got a hand on that as he reached back, but I guess not.
Wow. Bradwell saying he did.
Nope. Not quite. And the kick went straight. When's the last time you saw that? So now 2:48 to go in the fourth quarter. And the give is to Ford. And Stu Ford bounces outside. Fights his way down to the Toronto 37-yard line. And Tyler Scott has a little reason to celebrate. The Windsor, Ontario native has his first CFL TD.
I credit Kerry Joseph in the offensive line here. You'll see Tyler Scott right here. We saw him last year quite often sitting down on the boundary, catching just sit-down routes here. He does a nice job getting up into the zone, getting higher than the rest of the DBs, and Kerry Joseph throws that cutter in there to him for his first CFL career touchdown. Good on you, Tyler.
Time Saskatchewan able to punch the ball ahead for a first down as Stu Ford with his second consecutive carry gets down to the Toronto 30-yard line. There was 2:49 to go when we came back. Two schools of thought. One, you try the short kick. Two, do you just kick it deep and hope for a stop?
Yeah, and Toronto obviously felt like they needed 2 possessions. And they went. There it is. Look at that. There's Tom Bryce there, assistant equipment manager Danny Webb for the Toronto Argonauts. Bryce knows what to do with it. He chunks it to D Webb. D Webb said, "Done there, been there, done that." He knows what he's doing. Tyler Scott.
Take a note of that.
Yeah, he'll put a little spot there, a little mark on it, put a number 15 on the top of that, and that'll go on the trophy case one day. Nice work by the equipment staff of Toronto, getting the job done for a memento that a guy will have for the rest of his life.
Okay, which ones do you have?
I don't. Well, I got them. They're all like in storage. They're storage. I don't know. They're all worn out.
Yep.
Kids have thrown them, scuffed off the money. I have no idea what they're about. It's just like, yeah, I used to play football. That's about all the extent of the stuff I have at my house.
You mean the ones you threw for 700 yards that day in Winnipeg? You
don't have it. Don't have any of that stuff. No. Gave a lot of it away to fans around the CFL. I tell you, that's a big-time memento for Tyler Scott.
Second down is this Ford again, and he'll be stopped short. That'll bring up third down with under a minute and a half to go in the fourth quarter. So for Toronto, it's off to Calgary, where the Stampeders are off to an 0-2 start, and you know that McMahon Stadium will be a hornet's nest to walk into.
Just, I mean, a very unexpected start to the Canadian Football League in many ways.
I think a couple of provincial sports lotteries might have gone bankrupt on that Hamilton BC game last night.
The first time they've won out there since '04. And there is a big stink about going out and playing on that West Coast time zone. It's a 3-hour difference. And you're sitting there playing in the fourth quarter. It's 1:32 o'clock on your body's time clock. And boy, it can get tough. It didn't seem to bother Hamilton last night.
Kanji from the 35. And Kanji puts it through.
I said, look at Kanji. Hey, he's doing his thing. Yeah, look at Kanji, we like to call him on the panel. And he was money last year, and he's a fantastic, accurate kicker, strong leg, and it's great to have him. Great to have him in the league.
So Saskatchewan will move to 2-0, which will give the Riders first place in the West Division as
Ken Miller moves to 6-4 on the road as a head coach for the Riders.
Let me tell you something. Watermelon sales in Toronto the last couple of days, booming. Saskatchewan fans, no, I just need half, thanks. I'd like to make a hat out of it.
I love that guy. That guy is class personified right there, and I believe his organization has been through a lot lately, and they come out on the other side and they continue to hold their heads high and make all of the Canadian Football League fans across this country almost envious the way that they garner support from their fans because of their love of the game in the prairies. It's just astonishing to watch that story year after year unfold.
Can't wait to go there in a couple of weeks. Eskimos Riders in Regina on the night they honor the 20th anniversary of the '89 championship team.
Do you think we're going to hear about that from Glenn Suter at all?
Oh.
Maybe.
It's only been 20 years. He hasn't stopped yet.
He deserves it, though.
There's Giovanni Edwards getting outside. He is forced out of bounds. And interesting that Edmonton would be there. I think the Eskimos were 16-2 that year.
Yes.
They had the big year, 16-2, and were beaten by Saskatchewan in the Western Final.
Tracy Ham, I think, was quarterbacking that team back then. And
remember Ken Austin and Tom Burgess
going back and forth
to share the quarterbacking duties.
That's right. They were in their heyday back then.
Maybe the greatest Grey Cup ever played.
Bobby Jurison, Elgard. They had inside receiver.
Jeff Fairholm was
Jeff Fairholm flying up and down the field, pulled hamstrings, left, right, and center. They were a sick football team back then. They were very productive.
Joseph slings it out, and the catch is made.
That's Bradley.
Mike Bradwell. And so the McMaster product will get it out across the 40-yard line. But the Argonauts' losing streak at home will go to 7. The Argos will tie a franchise record for the longest winless streak at home. The Argos have not won a game at home since August the 1st of last year. And there's a deep ball that falls incomplete once again, looking for Bradwell.
They're taking pot shots now. Kerry Joseph just running his receivers ragged down the rails and down the seams, and he's just trying to knife the football in there, and just watch for the Saskatchewan secondary to possibly come up with another turnover here. Feasting on turnovers the last 2 weeks.
Toronto's next 2 are on the road, in Calgary next week, then in Winnipeg the week after. So Toronto's next home game is on August the 1st, a year to the day after the last one here. Joseph over the middle, and that pass is incomplete as Tyler Scott couldn't quite squeeze it.
Those are plays you look back on. It's injury to insult the next day in film session because you've got guys wide open. They're not making good plays on the football. In that case, it wasn't a well-thrown football, and you have to capitalize on situations like that because the defense is giving it to you. You're just running rails and seams, and you're just throwing with timing and putting the ball on the mark, and they hadn't been able to execute, which is pretty much par for the course through the first and fourth quarters.
Swung out to James Robinson, and he'll make the catch on that up close to midfield. So for the Argonauts this week, they'll be talking about turnovers and discipline.
Discipline, yeah, I think that, and Coach talked about it, controllable mistakes, and they are certainly going to look back and have plenty to talk about in film sessions tomorrow morning, and got to get back on that horse and ride, though. No rest for the weary. Got to find a way to correct it.
The Argos, who had a long break coming into this, will now run into the meat of the CFL schedule as they play back-to-back road games and a short week going into Calgary. And for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, while they saw an impressive display on Thursday night by the Montreal Alouettes, now get a close-up look at one of the most potent offenses in CFL history next weekend in Regina.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting matchup. Like I said, the unorthodox style of Gary Echeverria's defenses against Mark Trestman, Scott Milinovich, Anthony Calvillo's offensive strategy. Great matchup there, and 2 outstanding defenses getting after it as well. Montreal just flying around making things happen defensively, much like Saskatchewan.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that much, how good that Montreal defense is. Darian Durant and company are going to have their hands full with that.
Shea Emery in the middle and has been fantastic for him. He's really found himself in the middle of that Montreal defense. And they're playing really well, capitalizing on their offensive production as well.
Joseph took a late shot there, drops the ball off. McNeil makes the catch. And Jonta Woodard is slow to get to his feet for Toronto as there are 6 seconds remaining in the game. We've got, by the way, 3rd round coverage of the U.S. Women's Open Golf Championship coming up on TSN. And Toronto kicker Justin Medlock was supposed to be there. His girlfriend plays on the LPGA Tour. He was going to caddy for her.
He caddies for her, yeah. And I think his quote was, I'd much rather be here than getting yelled at the entire day carrying your bag.
You know what? Being a kicker is a little bit like being a caddy. You don't play very much. You watch more than you play, and usually you only get noticed when you make a mistake.
And you get things for people. Yeah. You know, in football you get beers. For the guys.
That's what kickers do.
You're a kicker. That's right. And when you're a caddy, you get the clubs. For who you're holding the bag for.
There is Justin Medlock. And
I tell you, he's had a great day. I mean, he's come and I mean, they couldn't have gone wrong either way, but there's Hannah June right there.
Missed the cut without him. See? If he'd been there, she might have made it.
Oh, you know the arguments and the discussions they're going to have?
Oh, yeah. Where were you when I did?
Look at him. He's not thinking about golf, though, right now.
There's Randy Ferchinski.
Randy saying, yeah, I need 2 beers. And Justin said, I got it, no problem.
Hey, he's a pastor. He's a pastor in St. Catharines, Ontario, now former Saskatchewan Roughrider, who was brought out of retirement to come out and be the long snapper. He only comes to practice a couple times a week, but he's one of the best long snappers around.
He is, and it's good to see him back. And
he must be the only preacher / long snapper in North America.
He keeps upping the ante every time they bring him back too, because they keep pulling him out of retirement. He's going, yeah, we'll just tack another 25 grand on and I'm in. And he's got a good thing going.
6 seconds to go in the 4th quarter. Joseph puts it up, has some time, and it is a touchdown. Mike Gradwell makes the catch. And there's his first CFL touchdown as well. And it comes to the final play of the 4th quarter.
Yeah, just running the seams down the middle and the rails, and the DBs are supposed to get deeper. Free safety gets caught shallow. Gradwell says, thank you very much.
You know what? Kerry Joseph in his last 2 games against Saskatchewan has thrown for 8 touchdowns and will lose both games.
That's hard to fathom right there.
And they will go for 2 here. This little live fire exercise, down by 10. So why not?
Why? Because
they want to get the quarterback hurt, but Joseph slings it down. That's intercepted.
Eddie Davis.
And there's a flag at the end of it. So Saskatchewan will win its 4th straight in Toronto.
Illegal contact on a receiver. Saskatchewan number 5. Half the distance to the goal. Will repeat the convert attempt.
And a second try at it.
An impressive victory on the road here against what I think is a quality Toronto Argonaut football team. I think Toronto really lent themselves to losing this ball game by their undiscipline, and they correct that right there in this ball game. The points off turnovers are the difference in this by far, and if they correct those correctable mistakes, the controllable mistakes, they're going to be fine. But they beat a good football team in their own backyard.
Last year it was 43-35, the final score for Saskatchewan in the shootout here. And now Joseph throws it underneath. Crawford to the goal line, does not get in. So Saskatchewan will take it by 10, 46-36. And the Argonauts have now lost 7 straight home games, which ties a franchise record. But for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, it's a 2-0 record to begin the season. For Claude Fig and Matt Dunnigan, I'm Gord Miller. Thanks for tuning in. This has been a presentation of TSN, Canada's sports leader.